What is up, everybody? Alright, so I gotta rant about this. So before we get into this, I gotta kind of catch everyone up on the internet situation and the reason we haven't been able to stream like at all for the last month. I'm so annoyed by this whole situation. I think it's ridiculous, and the only reason I haven't switched ISPs is because there's only 2 ISPs in the area I live, and the other one is just like more money for less value. But I am so close to switching. So, about a month ago, my stream started having, major problems. Now, some of that was unrelated to this, and the other unrelated issues have been fixed, but those were outside of my control. And that helped, but there's still issues. So, my ISP comes out here, they update my equipment, they notice the line like going from my modem to the internet box outside was a bit old, so they replaced that, and that helped. But was still having, my download was fine, and my download's been fine this whole time. But my upload is just fucked, and it's like super inconsistent. Like sometimes it'll be totally fine for hours, and then all of a sudden it's awful for hours, and it's still like that now, by the way. And so they couldn't figure out what the deal was. They had several technicians come out, and they had to send some of their experienced guys out that actually knew what they were talking about. And so they looked at it and brought better equipment to test things better, and they were like, yep, the upload's messed up, and it's not your internet, it's just the internet in the area. And then they found out that the main line in this area is just damaged. And all the houses in this area are having the same problem. It's just the other people haven't complained because most people don't use upload, right? And even if their upload is a bit fucked up, which that affects everybody, even if you're not uploading videos and streaming, you still need your upload. But if it's a bit fucked up, you're not gonna notice. Like the amount of upload you need to connect to websites and stuff is so little. Most people never notice if it's fucked up. Or obviously, because I stream, I notice. And so they're like, okay, so to fix the main line, we can't do that. We're not equipped for that. We gotta, but we can set up an appointment with a maintenance team that can fix it. And so they're like, we'll have them out here the day after tomorrow. By the way, this was a long time ago. And they just never showed up. They just never showed up. So I called them, and I'm like, what's going on here? And they're like, the people at the office, they're like, I don't know. They just canceled for some reason. Do you still need the appointment? I'm like, yeah, I do. And to this day, I still don't know why it got canceled, by the way. Anyway, so then we set it up again for a few days later, because, of course, great service here. And then a few days come around, and they just don't show up. This appointment wasn't canceled. They just didn't show up. So I call them again, and I'm like, what the fuck? Free levels, by the way. And so then they send out a regular technician again, who just is like, yeah, this is the same situation. The main line's still fucked up. The maintenance team still hasn't been out here, and I still can't fix this. And so I'll set up another appointment with the maintenance team, which again didn't show up. And then so they sent someone else out today. Exact same situation. Main line's still messed up. They can't fix it. They don't know why the maintenance team keeps not coming out. So while they were here, they literally called their boss, and then the boss tried to call the maintenance people, who did not answer their phone this entire time. And I'm like, by the way, this is like a mainstream ISP. This isn't like some small, this is like a a national size company. And I'm like, so yeah, it's been a month. They just keep showing up and not being able to do anything. And then they schedule things from people that are supposed to do something, and they never show up. And then they just keep on pushing it back and never showing up. And I'm paying for this, apparently. So yeah, it's been about a month of this, and I'm kind of done. And now the last thing they told me was they don't even know when they're gonna come out, or if they're gonna come out, or I'm just like, this whole time my internet's not working. It's like, what the fuck? So yeah, it's pretty lame. So in the meantime, whenever my internet gets bad, it makes my stream go to shit, and it's pretty terrible. Thankfully, it's okay right now. But I've lowered my stream settings a bit, so when it does go to shit, hopefully it's not a complete slideshow, but we'll just see. But yeah, that's my ISP sucks rant. So I'm really behind on this account because I haven't really wanted to play off stream other than Ember farming, but I didn't also want to I didn't want to waste those levels, where you get endless AP from leveling up. So I haven't really done anything on this account. But we'll see if we have enough XP to start doing London now. So the only thing we really need from FP, other than just higher NP ranks of our 3 stars and stuff, is Chen. I think we have everything you can get servant-wise, except for Chen Gong. Hey, thank you for the Twitch Prime sub, man. I say this, Nurita, I'm not even gonna try. What kind of name is that? The fuck? And anyway, thank you for the Twitch Prime sub, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, Chen is kind of funny. He's like the last thing. Dude, the worst is when like nothing's capital and it's a multi-name, it's a multi-word name, but nothing's capitalized. Nothing is capitalized. I'm like, okay. Hey, at least my name is easy to read, okay? And Blue with the resub for 3 months. Thank you, dude. All right, so here's the question: is do we go into London or do we grab these? At least Atlas and Switch. I think we grab these real quick. Then we see where we're at and we go to London, because we need these anyway. So, and in case the stream goes to shit, we can save London for whenever the internet's fixed, which at this rate maybe never. All right. Let me think. So Nursery Rhyme makes sense to level. Robin, David, probably George. Yeah, we need to get our George up. Okay, we'll do Robin. Yeah, these came out with London, which actually is kind of thematic, then that's when we're unlocking them. Yeah, and we need to level Nursery Rhyme anyway, for like Shamosa and that kind of stuff, so it's a good investment. Ugh, God, I haven't really gotten any of those. I haven't farmed anything, so... Gas Cruise MP5, actually. Green with 100 bits, thank you, man. Hi, Green, hope you're doing alright. And the internet fixes soon, yeah, I know, seriously. Dream R, that's how I have it in-game. Yeah, Dream's easy, that I can handle. But thank you, man, I appreciate it. Also, I like the emote, because it's green. I'm trying to think what level is appropriate for London. I don't really remember. It's been a really long time since I've done London. I'm thinking 40, 50, maybe 50. There's 100 bits for your troubles. Thank you, man. Appreciate everybody. I feel terrible though. I feel like I feel like the laziest fucking streamer on the planet. It's, you know, I'm not doing anything, right? Because my internet's so fucked up, so it doesn't feel great. It doesn't feel great. It's like streaming's a pretty fucking easy job anyway, right? It's not exactly the, you know, the most stressful thing on the planet, right? And then if that's what your job is, and you're not even doing it, it's like you feel really lazy. I guess we get her to at least 50. I mean, like, oh my god, I really thought it was going to be fixed today, and I can't even believe they didn't send out a maintenance team today. I'm losing my mind. Yeah, see, clearly, I wanted a vacation, so I went outside with pliers and, like, you know, dug into the ground and found the pole and just, you know, beat the shit out of it. And, you know, that's how you get R&R. I do feel like we should level Spartacus kind of soon. Although we don't, you know, we don't really need him for a while. So how is NA like in... Well, yep, I asked for that one. But how's NA like in Lost Belt, was it 2? Yeah, Lost Belt 2. Who else is high priority right now? I think there is some Lancer shit here. Yeah, I like Lost Belt too. It's pretty good. Boy, y'all in for a ride though. It gets a lot harder after Lost Belt 2. Lost Belt 2 is like the last Lost Belt that's not like fuck you, right? Everything after that gets pretty nasty. Although a few parts of Lost Belt 2 are pretty tough, honestly, especially for budget accounts. Yeah, 3 is pretty rough, and then 4 is pretty rough, and then 5 is super rough. Well, actually, 5-1 isn't that rough. The end of it is a little bit, but 5-2 is tough. Guess we level Ushi. Oh yeah, we have gold foes. Yeah, we're probably not going to be matching XP cards, so... Fuck it! You know, last time I did Surtur was on the 1 to 3 star account. And I did not find him that bad. I mean, you know, it wasn't like the easiest thing ever, but it's mainly that Robin and Billy are so good there. Like they're perfect for that fight. So if you have those, you're kind of good. Like you can use Billy at the start, and then you get through the nonsense where you can't debuff, and then after that, Robin is, you know, good to go. Ugh, hero proofs. Uriel's okay. She does really good damage, but she's not like the best ever because she's always immune to charm. But her damage is still really good. Normally, damage isn't the problem though, because you know he's got a health bar, so breaking the health bar is not a good deal. But she's totally fine. Yeah, if you got Arthur, he could be all right. You know, normally I use silver XP for mana prisms, but this account's so new, I think it's fine to use them. I don't need to get her to 50 though. I don't think you even need a rider that much here. I know you do a little bit. We have that clown boy fight. I have no idea if that's hard or not, but that's probably good enough. Alright, let's go get the Mystic Codes, and then we'll do London. Dude, so they put out the quality of life updates that are coming to JP soon, and they're shit. Every time they make one of those posts, I'm just like, oh, come on, do something good, like story replay or interlude replay or something, right? Every time. And then every time it's just stupid shit that I don't care about. Oh, well, I will say, when they did the Mystic Code UI update, I was pretty happy with that. But, did NA get that? I didn't pay attention. So now y'all got the engine update. Yeah, so that's good, because, oh my god, that was misery. Okay. I guess I'm supposed to summon things that aren't... But see, then I have to summon Benny, and I don't want to do that, so I'm gonna summon Mordred anyway. Fuck it. Fuck it, right? It's like, I wasn't gonna use my account until I got farther in the game, but it's like, I don't want to use Benny, and I don't want to waste time adding somebody else that has a strong say, like, I don't, just... Like, I'm sure she's good enough to beat this, right? I just don't want to use her. It's not like this is that hard anyway. Yeah, I figured you'd get the Mystic Code update because I think that's... It'd probably be hard for them not to add it with the engine update. I mean, I'm pretty much never a fan of the kids. Especially when they have voices like that. Like, anyone watching me at this point cannot be surprised that I don't really like Benny, right? That's just like the least surprising piece of information ever. I was really hoping Hercules would get better crit than that. I have a feeling this isn't going to work for killing both of them, but I'm going to try. Come on, Heart. No, I didn't think so. See, if my Mozart's third skill was ranked 10, that wouldn't have happened, and we would have killed them both. And see, now I knew this turn was coming because I was card counting for Mordred, and I wanted to use her second skill. This really sucks, man. If we had killed there, I'd use Mordred's second skill, and we could have her crit with the first one, and then Hercules with the second one, and then she crits again, and we could either kill 2 or 3, like, really easy. But now the deck's gonna reset. No, I don't really like Awawa either. I don't like hate her, but I mean, all she says is Awawa all the time, and I just don't. I always forget that name of that artist, but I don't really like any of I don't like the way he draws women ever, and I'm not like offended. This isn't an oh my god, how dare you sexualize anyone? That's not. I don't care. That's fine. I just don't like the way he draws women. It just looks dumb, right? It's again. I don't care. I don't care if fantasy characters are sexualized, right? That doesn't matter, right? Those proportions look bad, right? So it's not my shtick. Obviously, this is subjective, but yeah, not really a fan. I know, like, once in a blue moon, he draws people, or at least female characters with normal proportions, but that's pretty rare, so. Like, I don't want to say I don't like his art style, because, like, when he draws guys, it normally looks fine. And there are times that he draws women with more normal proportions, but on average, meh. Yeah, Moriarty looks really nice. Well, here's the thing. I don't think it's weird, and I don't think it's sexist if you draw like male characters one way and female characters another way, because one, it's all just art anyway. And and this is true, right? What makes a guy attractive generally, or cool, the goal isn't necessarily always just being attractive, but what makes a guy look cool, attractive, desirable, whatever, is very different, right, for most people than what a female character does, right? So it's like, you can't just give a guy a 30-foot schlong and be like, oh yeah, that's attractive, right? That doesn't work, right? It's just that's not how most people see guys, right? Now, still, a lot of times, guys are ripped and they give them like, really muscular arms and all that stuff. And I mean, look at Kentucky, for God's sakes. He may not. Kentucky's proportions might be like reasonable, but he's still ripped as fuck to the point where like that's barely possible, right? But it's just how you try to make a male character look good, if you will, is generally not the same. However, again, for me, when you have those absolutely outrageous proportions, and it goes both ways. Like I remember there was that game. It made such a fuss many years ago. Like Dragon's Crown or something. That may not be. It's something Crown. I don't quite remember the name. But it had like a 2D art style, and it was very exaggerated characters and stuff. And everyone got mad because I think one of the female characters had like massive boobs, which I thought didn't look very good. But I'm not like offended by it, right? But then everyone ignored there was like a knight character, and I dislike these proportions even more. He had like the world's smallest legs, and then like a really small waist, unbelievably small head, and just, I mean, like massive chest and shoulders, right? It's like extremely exaggerated, way more exaggerated than the female characters, and no one says anything, right? And here's the thing, I'm not offended by either, right? I don't really like either, but I have no problem with either. It's not my shtick. I get so annoyed though when everyone focuses on like exaggerated female proportions and they freak out and they're over there making their Reddit posts and I'm offended and and then you have all these male characters with extremely exaggerated proportions and things like that, and no one says anything. Like, oh no, that's fine. Like, oh no, no one cares about that. It's just silly, man. Who killed the music? Oh, I did. There we go. Yeah, honestly, it's, most people, I think, just, enjoy the stuff they enjoy and they don't get involved. It's always a vocal minority that's like, freaking out and, wait until Reddit hears about this and, that kind of thing. I don't know what to summon for this. Thinking of Berserker. Hey, White Flags. Thank you for the 3-month resub, dude. I feel like Mozart's not the best carry here. Call me crazy. Fuck, I can't. I'm in the middle of a stage on my main account, so I can't slot anything. Okay, we'll just go with Punch Monk. I'm sure that'll work anyway. Oh no, we have to use Plot Monk. She's so bad at dealing with assassins, guys. We've done DPS Mozart a few times. We did it on the 1 to 3 star count out of necessity several times. This crit spread. I gotta get Mozart's skills up, man. That is not the crit spread I wanted to see. I'm literally wasting Hercules' evade just to see if I can get a crit here. Yeah, if her Buster could crit at the opener, I could have done a lot better this round here. That's still went alright though. And I will say, when I was saying, you know, I don't during like when you make male characters have like the really small legs, big bodies, and all that. That's never really been my shtick. There have been some character designs that kind of go that route, and I think they can still sometimes make it look okay. But it's not really a bonus. And I'm like, yeah, I really like that art style where they give like big dudes really small legs and small heads. It's like that's, you know, it's not my cup of tea. But again, it's not like a problem. I'm not like, oh no, I'm offended. This is unreasonable expectations for men. Blah 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 blah. It's just like it's a fucking video game. My thing is like, if you don't like something, that's cool, right? I mean, you can also articulate that you don't like something. It's the offended stuff that I think is ridiculous, right? If you're like, you know what, I don't really like this art style, you know, and, you know, I just, you know, I don't want to play this thing or whatever, that's totally fine. And if you want to express that to other people, that's fine. Where I draw the line is when people start, like, acting like being offended by an art style gives you, like, special rights and stuff. It's like, if you don't like a certain art style and you think other art styles that are, like, more legitimate in your eyes or whatever aren't prevalent enough, then if you care that much, then you go do it, right? You go, you know, you make that art style and put it out there, and you know that's how this works. And again, you can by all means voice your opinion about not liking, you know, other art styles or whatever, but it's kind of like if somebody bothers to be an artist, or they bother to be a game developer, or you know, they write a book or they direct a movie or whatever, you know, that's a lot of time and work, and it's. So because they did the work, they get to make what they want to make, right? Like if someone's writing a book, they get to write what they want to write. By all means, you can say you don't like it, but it's like, it's really stupid to act like, you know, you can like make them not do it or something. Your Hercules is a big boy. I mean, literally, Plot Monk is like his arm. It's like, he's a little big there. Crescendo. I feel like that's a joke. That Hulk thing. I feel like that's a joke. I hope it is. The stage is a lot easier than I thought it was. I know one of these you fight a bunch of chimeras, and they're guaranteed to drop claws. Yeah, I know, human stupidity is a powerful thing. Hmm. I feel like what happens with a lot of like the people like that, you know, get offended and whine and try to ban things and everything, it's like I really feel like they're projecting, right? It's like they're feeling insecure because of other people's opinions or view on things or what they like or whatever, and you know that's why they take it the extra step. Because I don't think it's weird or abnormal to just want to share your opinion or whatever. That's fine, right? But when people get like try to, you know, cancel video games because they don't like that this woman has big boobs or whatever, right? It's like, what the fuck is that? Like, I don't get it. Like, that has to be projecting. Like, I can't think of any other reason why that kind of bullshit happens. Do I even need Mozart Bond? I don't think so. Although he's just really useful right now. One more. Okay, we'll do Artoria because this is so much less OP. Like, Mordred is just... First of all, Mordred is just way better than Artoria. Shots fired, but it's true. Like, Mordred gameplay-wise is way stronger. And mine's 100, NP 5, and like, K-Scope's not even good here, right? Because you're gonna like overcharge too much. So we'll go with Artoria to just dial it back a bit. Yeah, and we gotta give Rex that FP, so... Fuck you. Do I just NP right now? I kind of want to just NP right now. Like, this opening hand is so bad. Like, what am I supposed to do with that? These fancy animations, though. I am so sure the sound effects are messed up on that. I don't get it on my normal phone. It's not, and it plays the sound effects like normal. But there's no way that's the normal sound effects. Like, that's clearly missing the boom. Hey, Arjuna. Oh. Also, I like how all of Artoria's Buster cards are in the next hand. It's really unfortunate timing. I'm giving him evade because if he dies here, I don't get to use his crit turn. That's gonna be awful. Brick special. He probably will give Arthur an animation update at some point. You know, his animations are way above, you know, day one animations, so no rush. But if they ever do like a big prototype event or story or collab or whatever, they'll probably do it. Because he's popular. So I could probably kill both this turn, but I want that NP game. I might still kill both. Like if I did Buster, Quick Buster, we'd kill them both, definitely. Shit. That one a lot worse than I thought. I thought I'd kill the one and at least hurt the other, but it did not go that way. I feel like society's not really getting worse. I feel like the idiots just have a megaphone now, right? I think like back in the day, you know, all like the flat earthers and stupid shit like that, you know, they didn't have a way to group up and get a megaphone and broadcast their nonsense, right? So, and I feel like, you know, things like Twitter make it seem like all of society is against you, like this whole cancel culture thing. So you have these idiot companies, you know, getting a bunch of tweets about, oh my god, this comedian said a joke and I was offended, you must stop sponsoring him now, or whatever. And they see all these tweets, and so they think it's everybody. Oh my god, everyone just hates this guy now, we can't be associated with that, we're gonna lose sales. But it's not, it's just, you know, it's just this minority of people that are just looking to be offended that probably weren't your customers anyway. And so I think, like, I really don't like. I think the amount of people that get all uppity like this, I don't think it's really changed. I think it's pretty much the same as it's always been. It's just so much easier for these people to group up and bandwagon, and it's so easy for them to have their voices heard now, and we give them credibility for some fucking reason. Because I don't really feel like I feel like if you go out and like talk to people in a bar or in a library or in a game store or whatever, or you're just your friends, you know, people generally aren't on board with all this cancel culture nonsense and all this "I'm offended, oh my god" and stuff. Like, most people don't do that. Most people don't go on Twitter and like when some random comedian says something that they don't like, most people do not go on Twitter and like, "Oh my god," that's not a thing, right? It's such a minority of people. Almost have my NP. So if Artoria dies here, this is going to be very sad. I still go to libraries every once in a while, not super often, but I so rarely use Twitter, like so rarely, like twice a month, and then like I don't even look at like random people's tweets or anything. I normally go there to search specific things. And like almost all websites have like different demographics, and there's plenty of crossover and exceptions and stuff, but it's like there's a certain demographic that uses Reddit, there's a certain demographic that uses, you know, YouTube, especially religiously, and you know, same for Twitter and Facebook and all that. And a lot of times people just don't, they think these things represent like you know, a fair spectrum of actual people, like this the general public, but it generally doesn't. Well, that's nice. Yeah, I feel like the internet though has kind of killed libraries. I mean, rightfully so. It's so you can not only can you find more information faster, but cheaper, and then you can even cross-reference it and stuff like that, right? Like, so like the internet really is a good tool for that kind of stuff. You know, there's uses for physical media, especially for, you know, passing things on, because in case, you know, in case things get damaged or there's like an apocalypse or whatever, one of the best ways to carry information on generation to generation is physical writing. It's just, you know, there's no, if it doesn't get burned or whatever, right, you know, it's a very guaranteed way to pass information on. So I think physical media is important. And if anything, we actually need to use it more in terms of at least storing things, not necessarily for interpersonal use, but in terms of like storing history and documenting things. I think physical media is actually extremely important. And by all means, you know, use digital media as well. You know, the more copies you have of information, the better. Oh yeah, we have Enkidu on this account. Seeing Robin with only 5k attack is a weird feeling. Oh yeah, I know. There's all kinds of... That's such a thing right now. We're trying to like wipe history to fit our narrative and stuff. That always happens though, even in the olden days. You know, and like, God, who knows how much stuff we've been misled on in the modern era because, you know, conflicting information was lost or burned or what have you, you know. I think we got Enkidu last stream. It's been a while since the last stream. But yeah, I rolled a bit at the start of, I think it was the last stream. And just from a story pool, we just randomly got Enkidu. It was our first 5-star. I was kind of mad though. Like, I like Enkidu a lot. He's awesome. He's one of my favorite, you know, characters in Fate, period. But, you know, it's not like we're having a big Archer problem because we have Ku, obviously. And we're going to be probably grailing him some. And I have him on like every account ever. Right? So, it's not like the hypest thing to get. But on the flip side, though, I'm still really happy because I just really like Enkidu a lot. Kind of curious how much... I really should have done that Robin art card. I just want to see how much damage Ku can do to a Saber here. Their answer is a lot. By the way, my Ku's a little strong, if you hadn't noticed. Imagine having Enkidu. I don't have to imagine, because I get them all the time. Because he has green hair. It's just meant to be. That's why I always get David. Like, anytime I like, it takes me a while to get a 1 to 3 star unit, it's never David. Like, I remember on the 1 to 3 star account, Medea took a spell to kind of get rolling. But none of my accounts have ever had a David problem. We got MP5 Achilles before we got MP5 Gilgamesh. Even though my ult account was attempting to get MP5 Gilgamesh sooner, and it was already MP4 from when I saved it back in the day. In terms of, like, if I make a new account, Ushi's very high on the totem pole for a rider to level, because she's just super practical. Like, Medusa can be better for farming, but farming isn't that important. Like, I mean, it is, but it doesn't matter if you're 3 turning or 5 turning or 6 turning, especially on a newer account. That's not that big of a deal. For Ushi, can, like, you know, just carry you in content you might get stuck on otherwise. So, and Ushi still helps with farming. It's not like Ushi is like, oh no, she can't farm at all. It's like, no, she still farms fine. Might be a bit slower, but it's not that big of a deal. Ushi's just super good. Like, she's just really good stat line, really good skills. You know, you don't have to invest that much into her to get a lot out of her. You don't even need to level up her skills, and she does really well. I don't know why I'm NPing. What am I doing this turn? I wasn't really paying attention. I should have killed the Saber, because that's the one Ku can't do damage to. I don't know what the fuck this turn was. Yeah, Ushi's one of those characters where she's super good in the early game, and she's really good in the late game. Right? You know, she's good for Demeter, for guts. She's one of the best units for Demeter in Lost Belt 5 too, right? And so any challenge quest I can think of that really called for, I think it's 13k with that Buster President. But any challenge quest that I can think of that's called for a rider, Ushi has always done a really, like, if there's ever like a challenge quest that it's really tough on budget units, it's normally because it's calling for other things. If like the one, let's say you need really good debuff removal, really good defense, and rider DPS. If there's a problem, it's not the rider DPS aspect of it, right? It's the debuff removal, or just like the damage output of the boss, or something like that. It's not like, man, I just can't get enough budget DPS out of a rider to you know, get the damage I need to break the health bar or whatever. That's like never a thing. Like, generally, Ushi, Ku, Bedivere, you know, Robin, those kinds of things, whenever those units are called for the challenge quest, they always do their part of the fight fine, and they're not like the issue. It's always, you know, somebody else. Yeah, I know they really need to update Ushi's animations, but I feel like we say that every stream, and I think everyone's on board with that, and it's just, you know, one of these days. I just want to see what. Obviously, we should use Herc's cards, but I just want to see what we can do here. And then we insta-deathed him, so the Buster card was wasted. And I don't see the damage now. I was legitimately excited to see the damage there, because, you know, Ku's got, you know, really high attack stat, upgraded MP5. You know, mine's really pimped out. Got the attack buff here. You know, but it's a Saber. But no, can't have nice things. Let's see the damage on an archer here. Not too bad. I could have won this so much faster than I did. What stage am I even doing right now? This must be the Switch Mysticode. They always say, I know this isn't London. I'm like, what? I was like, what the hell am I doing right now? I'm fighting Romans in Fuyuki. Like, what is that? It's like, there's no way this is the Switch Mysticode, because I'm sorry, it's not Atlas, because Atlas had like a theme there with like the background and the enemies, and this is completely different, so yeah, it's just the Switch one. Yeah, Protoku buff. That'd be good. Let's see. Who do I need bond with? Matter too much. Hey, Super Nero. Nobody got a Buster card. That is such an oof. So I get that Mozart skill up, man. That was such an oof right there. God. Yeah, Nursery Rhyme and Caster Coup are going to be our DPS casters. It's sad, I'm not sure Medea's going to make the cut. If she doesn't, this will be the first account ever that I don't level Medea. But it's like, it's because Alexander also has buff removal now, and he has other uses that we're going to need him for. And then I'm really going to, I mean, like, a deficit for caster mats and gyms and everything. Because I need to level Chin Gong, Mozart, Shakespeare, Hans, Nursery Rhyme, Caster Coup. That's a lot of freaking casters right there. So I don't know if Medea's going to make the cut. Napoleon on NA is not that good. He's not bad. He's absolutely not bad. But he's not that amazing. But on JP, he's been buffed, and he's pretty good now. I still don't... I mean, in certain circumstances, he's actually, like, fucking godly now. But I would say, generally, he's still not as good as, like, Gilgamesh, Ishtar, Orion, that kind of stuff. But he's still good, and he gets the job done just fine. It's not like, oh, no, I'm using Napoleon, and I need an AoE archer. He's just not good enough. Like, that's not a thing. Like, he's totally good enough. Like, I can't think of any challenge quest where you fight a Saber, or you just need a really strong AoE unit in general, or something like that, and where it's like, oh man, Napoleon just won't do here. Like, that's not a thing. It's fine. Even on NA, he's pretty good. But he's noticeably behind, I would say, a lot of the other archers on NA right now. But if you really like him, you know, if you really like Napoleon, right, and you're on NA, I would still go for him, right? Because he's good enough to use. It's not like he's going to screw you over. He may not be the best thing ever, but he's good enough. And then you already know he is going to get buffed and be stronger. Like it's already a thing on JP. Yeah, Gilgamesh doesn't have any survivability either, but Gilgamesh also just has absolutely ridiculous damage and gets crit super easy. And, you know, and like, Gilgamesh does so much damage that, like, in an AoE challenge quest where a lot of the enemies are going to be neutral to him, he's still doing massive damage to them. But it is true. I've always said this. I feel like Gilgamesh is a little bit overrated in terms of what he can actually accomplish on his own, because his lack of survivability is a pretty big problem for a lot of setups. Like, if you're summoning your friend's Gilgamesh and you don't have, like, Merlin or Waver or something, you're really going to feel it with his lack of survivability. And he can just get, you know, blown the hell up or die in the first enemy AoE and P or something like that. So, he's good. I think even if you're like a budget player or you don't have a lot of good stuff yet, and you summon your friend's Gilgamesh, he's still good, but he's really not like, oh my god, look, he's carrying so hard. Like, that's not a thing. But it's not like Napoleon's not going to do that either. I do find it funny that Anastasia doesn't like firearms. And then she takes a bunch of bullets. But I think they did that on purpose. Like I was saving my first skill, but we're never gonna need it, so I don't know why I bothered. Honestly, your Arjuna kinda can carry if you don't need a lot of hard survival, because your Arjuna's soft survival is just... I mean, it's insane. Like, oh no, the boss hit me for 3k and I healed for 4,500 or some nonsense. Like, okay. And you're immune to debuff. Bless RNG, they were banned. Wait, who was banned? I don't remember who that emote went to. Was it a permaban or was it a suspension? But I feel like it's gotten to the point where everyone says everything is a ban, and a lot of times it's just a suspension. He deserved to be banned. Was this... I gotta ask, because I feel bad that I have to ask this, but you really do in today's day and age. Is this one of those things where it's like, he's suspected of doing something, or they actually know he did something? Because I cannot tell you how bad we've gone at that, where it's like, we lump everyone in this same group now, where you have someone where it's like, they know they did something, you know, fucked up, and anyone that just suspected, just one guy said he admitted. Okay, see, there we go. That's fair then. But I'm so tired of that. We're literally like one dude. There was this guy not even that long ago where everyone was like, yeah, this guy's, you know, a good guy and has always treated, you know, me well in real life and stuff like that. And he had like a crazy ex-girlfriend who everyone associated with her and the streamer was like she was just crazy, right? And then she just made up a bunch of bullshit after they broke up and you know, saying, oh my god, he sexually harassed me and blah, 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 blah. And all of her friends were even like, no, this is not true. And all of his friends were like, this is not true. And he still got kicked. It was so, it's like, I see that stuff all the time. I'm like, when it's a he said, she said situation, or he said, or she said, or whatever, it's like, you know, my god, I hate when people just like, just for no reason, with no, wait, Swifty? Did that happen to, what happened to Swifty? That's a WoW guy. But that stuff always bothers me when people just jump the gun with literally no one even knows. That's the thing. It's not, you know, you shouldn't, you know, jump on either side. And when there's literally no information one way or the other, people start picking sides, and I'm just like, it's just, oh god. All right, it's Berserker time. He just got accused and WoW removed his NPC from the game already. Well, that's not, I mean, if he didn't get banned, that's not really the same thing. But I don't know the details of this, so I don't want to comment on that, because I don't want to... Like, if I don't know what the hell's going on. But the more people jump to conclusions and the more companies do things without evidence and stuff, that incentivizes people to lie, which is not good, right? Because people notice, people act like all of humanity is like so virtuous, right? When people, even if someone's guilty or not, let's say someone is accused of something, and let's say the general public never finds out if they're guilty or not, right? But let's say deep down, you know, this person was guilty. We never know, but deep down this person was guilty, right? But if everyone jumps on the bandwagon and acts like they're guilty even when we don't know that they're guilty, people notice that. You know, the baddies notice that. They realize that you can get people fired, kicked, banned, and all this stuff without any fucking evidence. They notice this shit, right? And so then you have, you know, people with, you know, ulterior motives, you know, trying to get a few people together to do it. It's stupid, right? It's like... And I get it, you know, a lot of times it's hard to prove these things, but you have to maintain innocent until proven guilty. Because if you don't, like I just said, people will notice and they will take advantage of it. When people start noticing how easy it is to get companies to drop people and for people to get banned and stuff, people are going to take advantage of that. Like, Like, of course they are! Like, how can anyone think otherwise? Like, oh yeah, no one ever tries to lie and take advantage of, you know, social media or anything like that. No one would do that. Like, of course they're going to do that. And like, that's why I feel like so many people, they like want to be misled, right? They have whatever stupid fucking narrative in their head, and they're looking for anything that fits it, right? It doesn't matter the truth, it doesn't matter nuance, it doesn't matter the specific circumstance. Anytime there's a big story, you know, people want it to be X or Y instead, because like, here's the thing, let's say, let's use a very uncontroversial thing, right? Let's say there's a video game that has a real aimbot problem, like a first-person shooter or Fortnite or something like that. And let's say it has a real aimbot problem, right? And so let's say you start accusing people of aimbotting, and the devs start banning people if there's evidence or not, right? Of course people are gonna start, you know, saying people are aimbotting even if they're not to get them banned. Like, of course people are going to do that, right? And let's say you really don't like aimbotters, which is fine. That's a, I don't think, I mean, who would like aimbotters, right? It's obviously a bad thing, right? And so let's say and let's say there's a person out there that you don't like, right? So it'd be so nice if they were an aimbotter so you get to, you know, shit on them. But like, that has no bearing on if they actually are or aren't an aimbotter, because anyone that's been alive for more than 5 fucking minutes, you know, there are good people in the world and there are bad people in the world, and you have to take everyone on a case-by-case basis. Just because you don't like someone doesn't mean they're more likely to be an aimbotter or, you know, or whatever, you know, whatever the issue is. So it's like, you don't jump the gun on things, right? Just, you know, withhold judgment and take people on a case-by-case basis. I feel like that's what you tell children, right? That's what that's what parents tell their children. I can't even believe that that's just like become a thing now, where everything's so bandwagony and all this nonsense. Like, it's so basic to just, oh yeah, you got to take each person as an individual and figure out what's going on in this individual case, right? Like, even if 10 other streamers were aimbotting, that doesn't mean this streamer's aimbotting, right? It doesn't work I mean, of course it doesn't work that way. I can kill it this turn. Does Dark Souls 3 PvP have a lot of hackers? It kind of depends. If you go to, and I haven't played it in a while, but if you, and also on PC, there's definitely, you know, the most hackers by far, like landslide. Like on console, it's not that big of a deal. There's some like save editing and stuff, but not that bad. Anyway, if you go to like some of the really popular areas like Londo or the Ringed City, stuff like that, and you're at like kind of the meta soul level, you'll see hackers a decent amount. It's not like, it's not the majority. It's by no means the majority. You can normally like PvP in Londo or something for quite a while before running into a hacker. But you will, if you have like a 3-hour Dark Souls PvP session at level 120 in Londo, you are going to run into a hacker. Like, you just like guaranteed. But if you do like your level 30 PvP in Cathedral of the Deep or something like that, you'll probably never run into a hacker. So the hackers that are there kind of just go to the populated areas and stuff. But yeah, it's definitely a thing. But I haven't played in a while, so it could be worse. It always sucks because I'm sure Elden Ring will come out and then it'll have hackers too. None of the FromSoft games have ever put any real effort into stopping hackers. Like, even basic stuff to like just check if your like stats match your soul level. They don't even do stuff like, they don't even do that. So like, you know, you give those games enough time and there's always hacker problems because FromSoft and Bamco just don't care enough. And in Bloodborne's case, Sony, and in like Sekiro doesn't have a hacker problem though because it's single player. Although I'm sure people do hack that game. It just doesn't matter very much. You know, the internet's not any better. It's good right now, but it's always been fluctuating like that. They have not fixed it, and they keep. I already ran. I'm not gonna get into it again. I already talked about it at the start of the stream. But basically, they know what the problem is, and they just can't figure out how to actually coordinate with the department that knows how to fix it, and the part that knows how to fix it just never shows up. And it's been like going like this back and forth for like a month. And it's getting pretty old. I like how it's just now telling me about my login stuff, but I already got my login stuff. Alright, It's London time. I don't even know who that is. Why would I randomly 1v1 somebody that I don't even know in a game I haven't played in like a year and a half? Let me hold on. I gotta get my. I'm literally about to quit this stage on my normal phone so I can just slot fucking units. Oh my god! I just realized my main account. You know, the reason I can't change my slotted units is because I'm in a stage, and I'm in a fucking fever stage that spawned 18 of the fucking extra ads on the final wave. Because you know, I can get through that fast. I'll just throw something in the back. There's no story support. What do you want from me? Wow, that's a David. I like how there's literally nothing I can summon that's not like bullshit. That's a David though. Okay, it's Nursery Rhyme. I don't have End of the Caster right now. He's not really leveled. Hold on, I gotta get like David. I need like basic stuff to just support the. I'm only gonna have one unit that's worth a fuck. You need the other units to like support them and not just, hey, look, I'm gonna sit here and do nothing and take up your cards. Right, like that's like the last thing that you want. That's why it's good to level things like David and Hans or Hans. That way, if you're gonna have someone sit around, they're doing something to compensate for the fact that they're kind of slaughtering your deck. It's always a good investment to level David anyway. Rip Void Dust. Honor Bro fights and Dark Souls 3 are crap. They're shit. That game is so bad for that kind of thing. Like 1v1 was really fun in Dark Souls 1, and it's decently fun in Dark Souls 2. But 1v1ing in Dark Souls 3 is so bad. Like, it rewards being a passive, reactionary fuck, and the whole meta is just force the other person to take an action so you can be reactionary to it. That's literally all of the PvP is in Dark Souls 3, and it's fucking terrible. There's no, like, good advanced tech. Being aggressive is so fucking bad in that game. It has the worst 1v1 in the whole series. Like, even Bloodborne has better 1v1, and that is saying a lot. Like, random bullshit can be fun, because, like, the Covenants are good, the map layouts are good, and all that, there's some fun builds and everything, but 1v1 in that game is trash. Like, 1v1ing in Dark Souls 1 is definitely the best. Like, it's funny, so many people don't think that, because so many people never make it to even a halfway high level of play in any Dark Souls game, and they have no idea what they're talking about. But, like, high level play, everyone's like, oh, Dark Souls 1 is just backstab fest. It absolutely isn't. When you watch two people that are super good at Dark Souls 1, there's almost no backstabbing because it's really easy to shut backstabbing down. And then there's a nice balance between being aggressive and passive in Dark Souls 1, where 3 it's just passive. I could talk about that forever. I used to play Souls games so much. I have like thousands and thousands of hours in each game. Demon Souls is, like, PvP is awful, and it's because that game is so old and super basic, and FromSoft had no idea it was going to get popular, and they put literally no effort into balancing it, because it was just a super small random game. The PvP in that is just, like, hilariously unbalanced and really basic. That's the main thing with Demon Souls, is it's so vanilla. The whole game is so fucking vanilla. A lot of people see that game with, like, you know, nostalgia goggles. It's not a bad game still, like, at all. I think it's still a good game, but people's nostalgia have definitely affected their opinion on that game. It has great atmosphere and music and all those things. That stuff's great, but it's so basic. Like, that game is so easy. That game is so fucking easy. Because it was literally the first Souls game, right? So, like, they didn't really, you know, they hadn't really mastered the formula, and they hadn't really figured out how to make boss battles. You know, it's like all the movesets on the weapons are super vanilla. All the movesets on the bosses are super vanilla. All the trash mobs are super vanilla. I think it's still a good game because the music's great. The, you know, there's some cool customization. The atmosphere is great. The level design is great. You know, just like, you know, all the old FromSoft games. Like, so there's plenty of good things about it still. But in terms of like combat, it's just super vanilla. And it's very floaty too. Like, oh my god, whenever I go back and play Demon's Souls, it's just, the physics are so floaty. Yeah, I think they did a good job with the story in Demon's Souls because it's unlike Dark Souls. You don't have to beat the game to death and use a magnifying glass to know what the basic outline is. Right, there's loads of nuance and side plots and little details that you do need to beat use a magnifying glass to figure out. But the basic broad strokes of the story, it still tells to you. The basic, and more importantly than that, I think the basic, like what a character is about, is told a lot smoother in Demon's Souls, right? A lot of characters in Dark Souls, it's actually kind of hard to understand what the fuck is going on with them unless you like really, you know, bust out the magnifying glass. Where in Demon's Souls, you know, most of the NPC plot lines are pretty easy to follow and see, and it's a lot more natural. I love the story and the characters in Dark Souls 1, but they're just, the way it's told is a bit overly obscured. Okay. I like how I have Origin Bullet on Mozart. I think the dolls are humanoid. I could probably use that and get the bonus. Might as well test it. See. Yeah, the Shadows of the Colossus remake is actually a reason I'm really skeptical of the Demon's Souls remake, because the Shadow of the Colossus remake was too faithful. Because again, that's another game, and I stand by this very firmly because I actually played, well, I didn't play, I played a little bit of it, but I mostly watched Tusk replay it. Like, Tusk played Shadow of Colossus when he was a kid, and he was like, oh my god, this game was amazing, and he was always telling me how great it was. I was always hearing other people say how great it was. And then he sat down and played it, and I was sitting next to him when he played it, and I mean, it's just shit. Like, it's so basic, right? Like, yeah, again, music's good, you know, and I can see why in the time it was really awesome to a kid, because, you know, it was one of the first games you really had this open world and, like, you know, sense of adventure and all that. But it's like, mechanically, that game is bad. Like, it's really dumb. Like, it's super simple, and, like, it's unbelievably contrived. I cannot believe how contrived, like, the boss fights are. You have to do just wonky, random bullshit that just for whatever reason makes the boss behave in the way that you need them to behave, that allows you to, you know, climb on them and kill them, right? That game has aged so poorly. Like, I was laughing at that game as Tusk, because I'd never seen it before. I just heard it was a masterpiece. And then I'm watching it, and I'm just like, he played quite a bit of it, and I was laughing at that game. It was so fucking contrived. Like, how you had to kill the bosses and stuff, and it's just dumb, like, just dumb. And the thing I found is so lame about it is, like, you know, it's got this awesome music, right? It's got great music and all this stuff, and so, like you'll be fighting a Colossus, and then you just do some contrived nonsense that makes the boss act like a fucking idiot, and it's just so, like, unnatural with the way the Colossus acts. You know, and so you get to climb on them, and the music gets all epic, right? It's like you just do some stupid shit, and the boss, like, bends over for you, and he's like, hey, kill me, and then the music's like, oh, you beat the big bad boss. It's so epic, and it's like, what it looked like was basically Tusk was bullying an infant the size of like a building, right? Like they had the intelligence of an infant, and Tusk is like bullying them, and the music is like trying to be all epic, right? It's just, it was pretty dumb. But yeah, but I think that game, you can make a remake of that game and make it so good, because it does have great atmosphere and music, and you know, it did have that, you know, open world and all that was like really unique at the time and all that stuff. If you could make the gameplay better, you know, it's a great idea. You just have like an open world with lots of hints and stuff, and you have these giant bosses that roam around, and you know, all you really do is fight bosses, right? That's awesome. The fundamental problem with that game isn't the concept or any of that. It's just the gameplay's way too simplistic and contrived, because it's a super old game that also has some of the worst frame rate I've ever seen. But that's the one good thing about the remake, I guess, is they made the frame rate better. But yeah, the fact that but anyway, the company that did the Shadow of the Colossus remake, they're the ones doing the Demon Souls one. And the Shadow of the Colossus remake was just a coat of paint, right? Like, yeah, they updated like the game engine and stuff, but like it's the same game. It's exactly the same game, exact same mechanics, same physics, same map layout. You know, it's a complete copy-paste game with just better graphics and a better frame rate. That's it, right? And I don't want that for Demon Souls, because same thing. I don't think Demon Souls has aged that well. I think it's absolutely aged better than Shadow of Colossus. I think easily. And I think even Demon Souls, if you've never played a Souls game, if you've never played any Souls game, and you don't know anything about them, like you haven't like watched playthroughs or anything, and you went into Demon Souls blind, it would still be difficult. And a big part of that is because all Souls games are difficult when you've never played one before, because they're kind of, you know, obtuse in like the control scheme, and you have a big part of those games is, you know, figuring out like, you know, how do the mechanics work. Oh, if I'm wearing, you know, this much equipment, it changes my roll speed, or if, you know, oh, I have iframes, or you know, things like that. Like that's a huge part of those games. And on the mechanical side of things, Demon Souls is definitely the most simplistic. But because you're still not going to know the controls, you're still not going to, you know, quite understand a lot of the under the hood stuff. You know, I think it could still be pretty difficult for somebody going in blind. I think it's the least difficult out of all of them, but it could definitely be difficult for somebody. But anyone that's like been playing Souls games, because a lot of people have played every Souls game except Demon Souls. That's actually really common, because Demon Souls is so old, and a lot of especially newer people have gotten into it. You know, because the Souls series kind of got popular with Dark Souls. So a lot of people have played Dark Souls 1 and on, and Dark Souls is also on PC and is a lot more accessible now with the remaster and all that. So most people have played most of the Souls games except for Demon Souls. And anytime I see those people that have been like really big fans of Souls games, and like Sekiro, Bloodborne, or whatever, and when they finally, like, if they stream it or something, they're like, oh man, I've been playing Souls games forever and I can finally play the original. They always, you know, have a really easy time with it, and they kind of just absolutely shit on it gameplay wise, because it's a very simplistic game. Are there memorable bosses in Demon Souls? Oh yeah, I mean, like, you know, the boss designs are fucking phenomenal. I think the boss designs are always good in those games. Honestly, if you haven't seen it, I won't spoil it, but I think in terms of atmosphere, music, and like what's actually happening with the boss, like what the boss is relative to the story and everything, I think my favorite boss in like all of the games is in Demon Souls. I'm not 100% sure on that though, because there's a lot of bosses and a lot of really cool stuff. You know, there's lots of really cool bosses in Dark Souls and stuff, but I think my favorite is in Demon Souls. I mean, you really can't. The way you play Demon Souls on PC is like really roundabout, and that's really not the same thing. And most people don't do that, and also can't do that. Like the way Sony does that is so fucking roundabout. Like that's not the same as, hey, you can just go to Steam and buy this thing. Like that's not the same at all. I guess we put this Mozart in the front. Nah, he's got higher stats, but whatever. My main issue with Shadow of Colossus, it's not just that the Colossal, or Colossi, are dumb. it's that they act so unnaturally, right? Like the one with the beard, like if you hide in like any of the spots, he doesn't do the thing, but you hide in this one specific, you know, spot like in the back that's just like all the other ones. That one makes him behave differently, and then he just, you know, bends over so you can jump on his beard. It's just, there's so, like the bird. What the bird is an idiot, right? There's like, it's like he just, for no reason, he like, you know, swoops down really close to you so you can jump on him and stuff. You know, it's really contrived. Now, to be fair, a lot of games have flying enemies that are absolutely stupid like that. But it was just really obvious with him because of how easily, like how unnecessary it was for him to ever do anything like that. That is such a thing though with flying enemies, where they're bird brains. Like look at this dragon being nice enough to land. And it's one thing like, you know, oh, he gets tired and needs to land. Fair enough. But then like when there's like a lot of other areas like on hills and stuff in the area that they could land on and not let you get to them, why wouldn't they just land there, for God's sakes? It actually makes sense that Antonio doesn't have... Now, I mean, it kind of goes both ways. So I was about to say it makes sense that Antonio doesn't have animations for his second form. However, they kind of designed him that way so they didn't have to give him animations for his second form, right? Because they're lazy and he's a 3-star, so they don't want to make a bunch of animations for him. But Space Ishtar, though. But anyway, he literally can't fight without his Mystic Code. Like, he's not... And, you know, he's a musician, so no shit he can't fight without his Mystic Code. Like, that makes complete sense that he needs a Mystic Code to, like, do the work for, like, the physical side of things and all that. So, anytime he's fighting, he obviously equips the Mystic Code, so that's why. So, you know, that's fair, you know, fair enough. That actually makes a degree of sense. But, you know, they're kind of jumping at the opportunity to not do more animations for him, obviously. The game is kind of like bullying a bunch of infants story-wise too. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, the Colossal are like good guys. They're like guardians basically. Like, aren't you like, you're like working for like an evil like demon god or some shit that's like tricking you into doing a bunch of stupid shit. And, like I'm pretty sure like you can see it. Like I don't know that much out of Colossus, but I mean like you can literally see it every time you kill a Colossus. You get like corrupted or something, and it's like. Your character's an idiot. Like, I guess he's, you know, desperate, right? I guess he like loves the dead chick or whatever, or it's his sister or his waifu or I don't know, whatever. But it's pretty obvious you're being manipulated and you're a dumbass. But how can you sue Twitch over what? Let's see. I really just should level Fergus some. Well, my point with Space Ishtar, I'm not really getting into my personal take on Space Ishtar. It's more the fact that, okay, no one can deny this, okay? Like, oh, alright, okay. Step one. I think we can all agree on this. Everybody has, you know, everyone's got their own personal taste and things they like and don't like, right? This is standard stuff. That's not surprising. So, I get it if people like Space Ishtar or don't like Space Ishtar or like or dislike other 5 stars or 4 stars. That's all fine. That's not an issue, right? And I don't like Space Ishtar, right? But that's not my problem, right? There's lots of characters I don't like. And I have no problem with them existing and other people liking them, right? There's nothing wrong if you like Space Ishtar. That's fine. However, I don't think anyone can, in their right mind, deny that they put way more budget and effort into Space Ishtar in terms of her animation quality and all that stuff, right? Like, they put they didn't just put a lot, they put like more than they ever have, ever. Like it's, you know, and then you got like the fucking welfare that they just added, whose back leg never fucking moved. They never reanimated her back leg, so her like when she's doing movements with her leg, it's like broken all the time because her leg is always facing the camera, and then she's doing things where she'd be like facing the enemy and stuff, and she's like constantly breaking her legs and stuff. And it's just lazy, right? And they even do this with 5 stars. A lot of times they make 5 stars that they're being really lazy with their animations and stuff, right? And then you have Space Ishtar where they didn't just do a good job. They went so above and beyond. And I think it's reasonable to be annoyed when you have a character like Space Ishtar, where it's not like I would never be annoyed when they're like, oh hey, you did a good job with the animations, right? Even if I don't like the characters, like yeah, you should do a good job with the animations for all of the characters, because somebody's going to like every character, right? But then you have so many characters where they're blatantly phoning it in, and they've been doing that more and more lately. The recent welfare, I mean, if you look at her frames frame by frame, it is ungodly how lazy they were with her. Like, just crazy fucking lazy. And so many of the 3 stars they're super fucking lazy with. And when they do like animation updates for units that they can't make money off of, they're so lazy with them now. Like, they're so fucking lazy with them now. They used to not be, honestly. If you compare Ku's animation update, yeah, it's an older one, so like their you know, animation quality is not as good. But like, look, I found this recently. This is something I pay attention to a lot because you can really tell how much effort they put into a unit. Generally, if their back leg is not animated much and they're just moving it around like a paper mache doll, then generally the rest of the unit they're being lazy with as well. The more they redraw the unit's back leg, just the more effort they're putting into the thing in general. This is pretty universally true, I found. And like if you look at Ku, who's a 3-star, and if you look at his back leg, they reanimate it several times, right? Not as much as they reanimate, you know, the body parts of like, you know, the new fancy gold waifus and stuff. But, you know, it's still like a reasonable amount of animation work. And to be clear, because some people might legitimately not know, what I mean by animation work, so there's a difference between a drawing and animation, right? Animation is a sequence of drawings to, you know, mimic movement, right? And so, for example, if you want Mordred's back leg to like change shape and like maybe she's going to do like a side kick or a push kick or whatever, you're going to have to redraw her foot there. Right now, because this is computer animation, they can, the one drawing we have right now, it's on screen of her back foot, right? You can manipulate that drawing and like have it move a little bit, you know, and like wiggle it around and stuff, but you can't change like the angle and that kind of stuff. That's set in stone. So if you want to have her like, you know, really change her stance or her angle or anything like that, you're going to have to redraw her foot. And a lot of the units they're really lazy with is they almost never redraw them for anything, right? As they're moving and stuff, they're just manipulating the drawing that's already there. So it's a drawing, it's moving because they're manipulating the drawing, but it's not animated, right? An animation is a series of drawings to, you know, mimic movement instead of, you know, just physically moving it around like a paper mache doll, right? And so when they do like Hector's animation update and stuff like that, he's almost entirely paper mache, right? Hardly any of his movements are animated. Some of them are, and especially with his hands, because it's pretty hard to not animate hands in a game like this. But so many units now, they're just phoning it in like a motherfucker, and they're just a bunch of paper mache. Like even Caesar is loaded with paper mache movements instead of animation. It's really dumb. You know, that's like a rag doll. But then whenever they bring out, you know, a fucking waifu, a 5-star waifu, then they just, you know, they pull out all the stops and go way above and beyond and, you know, animate every fucking movement and that kind of thing. And that's annoying. I'm like, again, I'm not annoyed that Space Ishtar got effort put into her, right? That's fine. But you need to put effort into other things too, right? And then especially when it's not like, again, this is not a small indie developer. This is one of the most profitable games on the planet. So there should be no issue. There should be absolutely no issue for them having the budget to hire enough artists to do proper animation work, you know, for their characters. That should be the least of their worries. But they've been phoning in like a motherfucker. Like most of the animation updates for low stars and even 4 stars and stuff are lazier than the animation update they did for Ku in terms of like number of like motions and stuff. Now there's some real inconsistency there, but it's been I've noticed a lot recently. They've been really phoning it in, and I'm not a fan, man. I'm not a fan because, you know, the animations of the characters and stuff is one of the bigger selling points of this game. And, you know, it really sucks when one of your favorite... Because, you know, they don't do animation updates often, right? So if Hector's your guy, when they finally get around to doing a Hector animation update, you want it to be good. Because you're probably not going to get another one, right? And then when it's, like, really phoned in, that sucks. Nobody wants their favorite characters to be super phoned in, you know, especially when you have other characters that aren't phoned in. I mean, paid costumes, the way they do costumes is generally they basically copy them onto the animation that's already there, and they try not to do that many unique animations for them because, again, they're lazy. They should, because that way it would look a lot more natural. That's why a lot of the costumes don't look in motion very good, because they're, you know, basically just pasting them onto the paper mache dolls. Which assassin would you recommend? I mean, it kind of depends on your situation. Like, are you newer to the game? Do you have any gold assassins? But in terms of just pure budget assassins, out of all the best budget assassins, I would say it's definitely 100 Face is definitely the best one. But like 100 Face, 100 Face is just so much. 100 Face and Fuma are the two. They kind of cover, really 100 Face and Fuma basically cover all your bases. Because Fuma's AoE and has massive utility, like fucking phenomenal utility. Kind of takes a while for him to shine because you have to do all his upgrade quests. You know, out of the box, he's a bit basic. But Fuma has really solid AoE damage for a budget unit and then just super good utility. And then 100 Face has absolutely disgusting survivability. And then she also has really good single target damage. And so, yeah, for like boss nuking, 100 Face, way to go. For AoE, utility stuff, team support stuff, Fuma. Those are like, if I was gonna pick two, if I could only level 2 assassins on an account, like this account, if I could only level 2 assassins on this account, it would be Fuma and 100 Face. And honestly, that would hold up just fine for most stuff. Pin's costume is fine though, and like there's nothing, every once in a while making costumes that are like low effort, but are like kind of naturally supposed to exist is fine, right? Because they never intended for the CEO Penth to even be a costume. People just wanted it, so they just did it because it was really easy to do. So like, why not, right? The only issue is if that's the only costumes they give, right? I don't have a problem with recolors, right? If they want to do, you know, Arthur, but his armor's a different color, that's fine, as long as you're getting other higher quality costumes as well, right? I actually like a nice variety of low effort and high effort costumes, because sometimes you're like, hey, I really like this costume, I just wish it was a different color, right? Like that. So it's nice to have those kinds of things. I think FGO is really fucking up by not monetizing costumes better. Like they should have a real, because for instance, let's say they wanted to do a color swap for Phantom of the Opera. That's basically no work for them. Now granted, there's not that many Phantom of the Opera fans and they wouldn't make that much money off of it, but it would basically cost them nothing to do. So it's like you might as well, and you'll make some money off of it. And then you can do like, you know, fancier costumes. And then look at all the craft essences where all these different characters are wearing all kinds of different costumes. Just a lot of those you could just make into costumes. Some of those would take a lot more effort and time, but then they'd actually sell really well, right? And so it's like, not only would it be nice for us to have more costumes, but it's foolish of them to not be monetizing these things and sell them for, you know, the lazy stuff, right? If you make a like Mordred but green instead of red, right? You make that like, you know, $5, right? And then if you do something like way more involved, like her suit from the promotion thing they did at the end of APOC, then you make that $15, right? Or if you do like, you know, something really basic with Spartacus, you know, same deal, you make it like $5. But then if you do something a lot more fancy with him, then you make that, you know, $10, $15, whatever. I think people would be way happier with that, and we'd get more stuff. Yeah, I don't even know why we don't have Drake Walter. I don't really get that one. It's already in the game, so. Hold on, BRB 1 second, I need to get water. But yeah, I talk about costumes all the time, so I think everybody knows what I'm going to say. I think we got it. I just hope there are people in JP that bring this stuff up. I have no idea if there are, and there probably isn't, which is really annoying. But because they're never going to take any feedback from NA, ever, right? They don't even hear us, right? It's not like, first of all, they can't because there's a language barrier, and we don't make them enough money to care, right? But it doesn't change the fact that, you know, sound business is sound business, right? And I doubt there are any, like, prominent voices in the JP community that are even talking about this kind of stuff. Hopefully I'm wrong, and hopefully there is, but I doubt it. They already have the skin for Drake Alta, they're just lazy. I mean, some of it is, like, I'd imagine, because she has voice lines for when she attacks, and when she's attacked, and when she casts skills, but I'm sure she does not have voice lines for things like, clicking her NP, clicking the attack, the under the hood stuff that you don't hear from the enemy. And so that's probably part of why they don't do it, and then they can't be bothered to do that stuff. And then, I honestly, I feel like they've only somewhat recently been like, we really should just add some of these like reskins that we already have in the game. But they don't do it until they feel like they can capitalize on it. Which is dumb, and like I said, they should just sell it for like a few bucks. But they're like, oh hey, because they added UHZ. UHZ has existed for like 4 years, right? And they just added it not that long ago, right? That UHZ has been around for so long, and they were just sitting on it. And then they didn't just randomly release it. They released it when, it was, relevant to MHX, right? So I feel like, and same for Testament, for Ilya, they didn't just again, Testament had been around for a really long time, and when they finally added it, it was when they were rerunning the Prism Ilya event. So I feel like their policy now is, okay, if we already got a reskin, we might as well, put the 5 seconds of work and make it available. But, if we're going to do that, then we're going to make it like a selling point for the event. And so we'll wait for an event to make sense. But that's stupid. And it's not like it's going to make them any money anyway, so there's no point in waiting. And then if you're going to make money out of it, then you should just, sell it. Because no one can deny. I'm sure there's people out there, and probably in my chat, that, like that all the costumes are free and they don't want them to cost anything. But I would say, to those people, you cannot deny that we barely get any fucking costumes, and a lot of them are very low effort, and it's obviously because they can't monetize them. And I think the best way to get around this, and this is what DW should do, is you still release free costumes. Let's say right now we get 2 or 3 costumes a year, right? Which is roughly what it is. Sometimes less, sometimes more, I guess. But so you still put out 2 or 3 costumes for free every year. You're like, hey, we're throwing the player base of bone, like how they make welfares, free every once in a while. You have like welfare costumes every once in a while, right? It's pretty much the same amount that we're getting now. So it's not hurting the amount of free costumes you're getting, but then you start getting a lot more costumes because they can make money off of it. The only good thing about us not having good costumes is that, oh god, yeah, Saber Venus, yeah. I think they're going to add Saber Venus though, just as a unit. I don't think they make it a costume. I mean, they might. I don't know. I guess it depends. I feel like if they actually did what I'm saying and it was going very well, which if they did it properly, I think it would do very well. I'm very confident this would be a good business move for them. But anyway, but let's say they started doing this costume stuff and it started doing very well for them. Then they probably would. And they make Saber Venus, because Nero is so popular, it'd be like the super epic skin, right? It costs like $50 or some stupid shit, and then it'd have like so much effort put into the animations. It'd have like completely different animations and stuff, right? Like it'd be like, they'd go really above and beyond with the costume, and I feel like they would do that with it. However, because they're not doing costumes, I think they'll probably make Saber Venus just a character at some point. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I don't like Saber Venus. It's pretty stupid, that whole shtick. Like, it is pretty dumb. But I don't. If it's in the game, it's like whatever, right? I just won't use it because I'm sure there's loads of other people out. It's like the thing they want the most, so good for them, right? So I'm not gonna like be pissed if she's added, but I'll just roll my eyes at her and not roll on her. Now, see, the nightmare is if they add Saber Venus, and obviously she's gonna be a 5-star. Let's be real. But let's say they add Saber Venus, and then she just happens to be rated up with like a 4-star that I like super like. So then I'm like, and then I roll for the 4-star, right? And then there's a chance that I have to get her, right? And that would suck. Okay, we're not gonna get carried here at all, so I need to be careful. Now we'll do the book. I have 2 dead units in the back, so... It's more Nero Wank, yeah, Arjuna. She's basically the pinnacle of Nero Wank. Basically, if all now seriously, imagine the actual Nero Wank out there. I don't just mean from the developers and stuff. I mean in the fan base, all the Nero Wank that's out there. If all of that was like encapsulated in a servant, right, and personified, it would be Saber Venus, right? That's basically what it is. Which is why I'm convinced it's going to be added at some point. I'm just so glad that, like, you know, my favorite characters, like, you know, Ku, Sanson, Billy, you know, Robin, those characters are not popular enough that they get the Nero treatment, right? Because that would actually suck so bad if you really liked a character, right? Like if you really liked Nero in Fate Extra, and then this happens, right? That would really be annoying. Like that would I sympathize. No, I don't want Ku to get the Nero. That would be so lame. Like, imagine he start, like, just making stupid shit up, and then Ku, just one of his runs, just, like, is a kill everything button, and then, like, you know, he just starts doing things that he can't do, and they start, like, having his character behave in ways that he normally didn't act like, just you know, to pander. That would suck. Like, I would hate that. The thing is, Ku-Ulter, everyone acts like Ku-Ulter's like super OP. He really isn't. Like, I don't even know where that comes from. It's like someone heard that he was OP once and everyone acts like I legitimately think, it's funny, Ku himself even says this, and I agree. I think regular Ku is better than Ku-Ulter. Like, very much so. Like, Ku-Ulter's not that great. Like, have you read his character material? Like, yeah, it's fine. I don't think he's weak. I think he's very strong. But there's nothing about Ku-Ulter where I'm like, oh my god, this is such, you know, BS. Now, I don't like Ku-Ulter because, you know, he's fan fiction, and I just don't care for his personality or his design at all. And I would have much preferred, you know, actual Berserker Ku. But, like, he doesn't have the cause effect reversal anymore. Like, there's so many things he's lacking. Like, he's very strong, for sure. I think what confuses a lot of people is that they don't realize that Ku-Ulter in America is being boosted by the Grail. Like, he's on that Grail juice, and you know, he's been smoking some Void Coke, and you know, that makes him a lot more powerful than normal. But like regular Ku-Ulter's, you know, he's good, sure, but he's not really that broken. And I gotta say, look at, if you compare, like, I don't know why anyone would think Ku-Ulter's silly in terms of like power scaling, because it's like, so, you know, the final bosses are normally you know, they're either things that aren't supposed to be summoned or abnormal things like Tiamat or something, or you got Guadia, who's like, you know, been powering up his MP for thousands of years and shit like that. And so when you can, for all the like big bad bosses, Ku-Ulter is so low on the totem pole, right? Like, just like all the other bosses, there's abnormal circumstances that are making him stronger than normal. And then how strong he is not actually that strong, right? Strong, sure, absolutely. But when you, like, look at Godjuna in Lost Belt 4 compared to Ku-Ulter in America, right? It's not even comparable. Like, there's light years of difference. Same for, because, you know, Zeus in Lost Belt 5, he's stronger than normal too, and he's way fucking stronger than Ku-Ulter. Actually, I think Ku-Ulter's abilities are a lot lamer. Like, he's got, like, you know, stronger stats, and he's got the armor, which is pretty good, but then he's got basically Death Flight, but, like, it's like way stronger. Like, his version of Bulk is basically Death Flight, but, like, on steroids. But then he doesn't have the cause effect reversal at all, and, like, that's not a really great trade-off in my opinion. Like, he basically got a big giant nuke, which like 1,000,000 servant has. I mean, how many servants have incredibly powerful big nuke attacks, right? That's not new. Like, oh wow, how OP is this guy because he's got a big AoE nuke attack? Oh no, right? Like, that's like half the cast, right? So like that's very underwhelming. I didn't pay attention to anything I clicked there, but it'll be fine. I think what happens with Coolter too is because people do read character materials sometimes, and you know what's there is really impressive, but they're not thinking about what's not there and all the things that he's lacking for what he's gaining. Now, again, I'm not arguing that Coolter is weak. I think he's quite strong, but he's not blowing my mind like at all. Like back on point, if you wanted to make a coup that was like really stupid, and you know, like you could make it so much worse than that. I mean, so much worse than that. And like Coolter doesn't even perform that well ultimately. Like at the end of the day, it's not like he's doing a bunch of stupid shit that's like loaded with plot armor and everything. Good old Shakespeare. I mean Mozart, excuse me. They're both budget supports, it's the same, right? So we're actually out of AP, feels bad. I don't really want to use an apple, but I don't want to stop yet either. We'll just use one. I did all that farming earlier. Those Mystic Code stages kind of wipe me out there. Oh hey, I can actually summon, I can swap things that aren't like OP. This is like good enough to get the job done, but so far away from being OP. Like this is so far away from being OP. Maybe over preparing right now, but I mean it is what it is. It's not like this is gonna just randomly carry me. No way. Hey Rex. Yeah, this is the first time I've ever used Kid Gill. Yep, clearly. I don't even know what his skills do. I guess it's just a Babbage minion. I definitely over-prepared for this. Obviously, Buster Art is probably the smart thing to do. I'm just trying to get my MP as fast as possible. This thing doesn't have enough health to really care. And we'd probably get our MP about the same time with Buster Art and do way more damage. But sometimes you get 98% and you really wish earlier you had done, you know, the slightly better MP gain combo thing. We've beaten a few things with Kid Gill without him dying. That's happened. Actually want George to die, so he gives us battery. Unfortunately, this guy doesn't hit too hard. Crit? Come on, crit. Big crit. Big crit. No. See, if this guy had more health, I would have waited to taunt, and so I could get this guy gets his NP, and I'd be taunt with the NP up. But the fight's not going to go on long enough for that to matter. That will start to matter though when we fight like Coolter and stuff like that. Honestly, I think the most like over-the-top version of Coup is Proto Coup. I think that's got to be the most under-the-radar character like ever. Nobody talks about him when people are talking about like OP characters or like OP versions of a character. Ever. Nobody talks about Proto Coup, but he is so busted. Like it's ridiculous. He's basically Coup but better, right? Pretty much like that's pretty much what he is. Like there are a few things that regular Coup has that Proto Coup doesn't, but Proto Coup has so much stuff that regular Coup doesn't. Proto Coup indeed. Hey, 70 is like the basic, you know, default max level, so at least he's 70. I hate how Proto-Ku is basically a stronger Ku, but then in gameplay he's like so much worse. It's so annoying, and they made him so similar. There's no way I'm ever grailing Kid Gil. I like regular Gil so much more. That's obviously the one that gets grailed. It's not like I hate Kid Gil, but there's no way that I would grail that. Yeah, I think lore-wise, the strongest 3 stars are Romulus and Proto-Ku. And then Ku, I mean, seriously, Ku is very, 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 very strong lore-wise. I think that's another. I think Ku is like really divisive. Like half the community knows how good he is, and the other half is like, well, he never does anything. And it's because they don't realize like just how nerfed he is in Fate Stay Night and that kind of thing. Also, plot armor. But a lot of people are like, oh yeah, Ku is super fucking strong in lore. But a lot of people don't think so. But Ku is definitely up there for 3 stars. But I think Proto-Ku overall is just better. I mean, he's got all the good things Ku has, and then there's way better stats and OP armor and all that stuff. But I think Romulus is probably the strongest 3-star lore-wise. He's way stronger than a lot of the 5 stars. I mean, that's true for Proto-Ku as well, but Romulus could beat like just multiple 5 stars at once, lore-wise, pretty easily. I actually don't use the other spear. It might be green. Do I have to go into this? I feel like most of my chat knows exactly why I don't use the green spear. Like it annoys me to even talk about it, right? Like the whole reason that thing exists is so stupid and is just like a symbol of the dumbest fucking character in Type Moon. There's no way I would use it, right? That shows you how stupid that is, right? Because I love the color green, right? And I don't use that thing. It's like it's that bad, right? It's that fucking bad. Alright, I gotta actually, like, shut up for a second here and actually pick a team. I just have no support for her. Like, there's nothing I can put on the team that's not gonna slow her down. Whatever. I guess I have to explain this, because literally no one seems to get it. Yeah, I like how you just put that. His master's a dumbass and didn't like Bulk. Basically, so it's pretty complicated because basically his master lies and their true intentions aren't exactly clear because she says different things. And then also I think they're retconning it. But anyway, oh hi Jack. So she basically, so okay, I'll go over the facts and then we'll go over like what the characters say, right? So she summons Proto-Ku. And then she instantly seals Bolg so he can't use it. I don't know why she's able to do that. It's kind of a plot contrivance, but Prototype's old. What do you want? Anyway, and then so Ku makes a regular makeshift spear just out of like, you know, whatever the fuck. Obviously it's, you know, woefully weaker than a Noble Phantasm. You know, it's nothing, you know. Arthur breaks it with like no effort. You know, it's not a good spear at all. It has no magical effect or anything. You know, it's just a makeshift spear that he threw together. Okay, now so this is already bad, right? This is already dumb, but it gets so much worse, right? If it was just that, I'd be like, wow, that was dumb. It gets so much worse. So imagine you summon a servant, you don't allow them to use their Noble Phantasm. They make a makeshift piece of shit spear, and then you have the bright idea, the 3,000 IQ play, fucking 6 head going on in here, I'm gonna send my servant out to actively seek out combat and go try to find the other masters and servants. He runs into Proto-Gilgamesh. Thankfully, Proto-Gilgamesh has no interest in killing him, but without plot armor, he would be so dead. Why would you do that, right? Why would you ever seal your own servants in POA and then actively have them seek out other masters and servants, right? And he almost dies immediately because of this, and the only reason he doesn't die is plot armor, like 100%. Because he runs into fucking Arthur, right? And it's like, you know, Arthur's a little strong, and, you know, and gets wrecked and has to retreat. But if it honestly wasn't plot armor, I think he would just fucking die there. And like, well, that's it. You summoned one of the best servants, and you instantly got them killed because you're a fucking moron. So she initially says the reason she did this was because killing people with Bolg lacks elegance, right? Which is the stupidest fucking reason to do anything. Now, that's not why she actually did it. She's lying. I don't know if that's like partially true. It's probably like, you know, on the surface she feels that way, but there's probably not enough to make her actually do it. She basically is afraid Ku's gonna betray her, which she doesn't really have any reason to think that, but, and even if you think, like, if you think your servant might betray you, have a command spell ready, you dumb fuck, right? Or put a command spell on them so they can't betray you, right? That makes a lot more sense than, oh yeah, let me seal their noble phantasm and then send them out to go. Now, I've always said, I really think they're gonna retcon the shit out of this, because this line of logic is so stupid, and it makes his master look like probably the dumbest character in the Nasuverse, right? But the thing is, she's popular because she has boobs, right? She's actually really popular for the people that actually know what she looks like and everything. So I would be shocked if they don't retcon this in some way. Like, she'll probably still seal it, but they'll probably try to, you know, come up with a better reason or some nonsense. I do kind of agree, Arjuna, because it is so fucking stupid that I'm just like... the problem is, I don't see how... I feel like the only way to retcon it is removing it, right? The thing is, they won't do that because it's kind of... I think they want to keep all the staple stuff about Prototype true and then change the details, right? Because it's a real staple of, like, Freight Prototype that Proto-Ku gets his NP sealed and he unlocks it later, right? They even worked that into him in FGO, right? That's why it doesn't start off with Bolg and everything. So it's such a staple to the character that they're not going to remove it. And see, in my opinion, if you're going to retcon it, you need to just remove it. It's a stupid plot point that forces so much plot armor. Because if you don't want, you don't want Proto-Ku to just randomly die for no reason. So you have to, you have to have them not. They don't pay for their arrogance, their foolishness, right? Like, the master can make a terrible decision and then follow it up with another terrible decision, and it doesn't result in any consequences, right? That doesn't feel good. It's bad writing. But because they're going to keep it, they'll just come up with a stupid... they'll come up with like a really contrived reason to justify it, right? They'll come up with some nonsense to justify it, and that makes it worse, in my opinion. So I'd rather either keep it and she's just an idiot, and you just make it canonical that she's a fucking idiot, or you just remove it entirely because it's the dumbest fucking thing. I can't think... Because, like, someone name me something stupider a master's ever done, right? Like, I can't think of anything stupider than that. But, thankfully, she dies without accomplishing anything, really. Surprise, surprise. And then Proto-Ku works with the main character for a while. They never say, not because Prototype's not finished. We have the character material book, and, like, what Nasu has said in interviews and that kind of stuff. And then we have the OVA. But the OVA, only shows a bit of information here and there. And so we know, his master dies. He works with the main character. Arthur gets altered, grail juiced in the face, and then in trying to get Arthur back, at some point Proto-Ku fights Hercules and Arthur at the same time, and they don't say anything else about Proto-Ku. That's all they ever say about him. But I'd say I think it's obvious that, like, Proto-Ku dies to save Arthur, and they get Arthur back, and blah 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 blah. Because they're not gonna have Proto-Ku. They're not gonna have him survive as the main character's servant if you get Arthur back, and you obviously get Arthur back. So it's like he obviously dies, and it's pretty believable, right? Because you've got fucking Arthur and Proto Hercules that's pretty daunting, right? Protoku's really strong and everything, but that's I wouldn't buy. I can buy that Protoku could put up a fight and buy time and that kind of thing. I can't really buy Protoku winning that. Wait, we're talking about Kodamine. Yeah, Ku is pretty much always loyal to who he's summoned by. Kodamine was really pushing it, right? Like, okay, first of all, think about what Kodamine is to Ku, right? Like, he killed Bazette, right? And Ku is aware of this, and he's not a fan, right? So that's a big problem. That alone was putting it pretty much right on the edge of you know, if he wants to be loyal or not. And then, you know, Kodamine obviously is nerfing Ku by putting that command spell on him. Kodamine is a coward, you know, completely, you know, and there's no way around, you know, Kodamine is a coward, right? He doesn't, you know, he's not a brave man. That's not necessarily a good or a bad thing, but, you know, for Ku and what Ku values and stuff, that's, you know, that's a big con. So there's a lot of things, and he knows Kodamine is, you know, kind of, you know, up to some shady shit and all that. So there's a lot against Kodamine, and Ku still doesn't betray, well, he does betray him in None of the Blade Works, but not until he kind of confirms what Kodamine is doing and all that, right? Because he's not sure. Like, actually, now I think about it, Ku actually betrays Kodamine a lot. I think about it, because he betrays him in Fate too. But he doesn't do it until you know, it's really apparent that Kodamine is a piece of shit and is trying to kill Ku even, and is got the kids in the church and all that stuff, right? Or trying to kill Rin and all that stuff. And so it takes a lot. It takes, you know, okay, all this stuff where Kodamine is just being a dick to Ku, that's not enough to get Ku to betray him, right? He has to go further than that. So it's really, Ku is very loyal. That's like part of his character. He's almost overly loyal. He kind of overly values his orders and you know, his role, what he's supposed to do, like as a servant. He doesn't even want the Grail. He doesn't even want the Grail, but like he's a real stickler for like following the rules and like, you know, doing what he's supposed to do as a servant and stuff. That's just, you know, honor bound and all that stuff. And so so Kodamine he does betray, but you know, after great lengths, right? So you have to be a real piece of work for Ku to betray you, right? So like if you summon Ku or Proto-Ku, there's no... you should not have to worry about him betraying you. If you're worrying about Ku betraying you, you are a piece of work, right? It's like, you have bigger problems. Alright, what are we doing here? Like how I didn't get my NP. This is like the saddest turn ever right here. The same for Hercules. Hercules is probably even more loyal. Actually, I think Ku's more loyal than her. Hercules is super fucking loyal, and that's like a real plot point. Is how like I like how she just absolutely wrecked Nursery Rhyme there. But that's like a plot point how the Einspurns made him a berserker because they were afraid he was going to betray them, but he never would have betrayed them, right? Like they were kind of stupid about that. But I'll say this: I do think Hercules is more of a stickler for like not doing things that he thinks are immoral, like much quicker. Like Ku is really ruthless. That's like a thing of Ku. On the one hand, he's a hero and he's honorable and like a nice guy and all that. But on the other hand, he's also extremely ruthless and is pretty much willing to do anything to kind of follow his code of conduct in his mind, right? That's why he's willing to kill Shiro, because it's against the rules for normies to see magecraft during the Grail Wars and stuff. And so servants are supposed to kill any witnesses. Most servants don't care about that. But Ku doesn't have like, Ku doesn't even have like an opinion on if that ruling is just or not. But it's what he's supposed to do, so that's what he does, right? And then after he finds out that Shiro's actually probably not a normie, but because he's already set out to kill him, and he's already like tried to kill him, he can't like fail that, so now he has to keep on trying to kill him. He's like, Ku's rather peculiar when it comes to like his, you know, personal rules, if you will. Where, like, Hercules, like, in Fate Strange Fake, is, like, immediately going against his master because his master wants him to kill an innocent kid. Not because the kid did anything, but just because the master wants to see if Hercules will follow his like his orders no matter what. But anyway, so because Hercules won't kill the kid, that's why you have he uses all of like his command spells to make Hercules jump in the Angra juice and get altered and all that. But yeah, so it's hard to say because it's kind of apples and oranges. It's like that's not a direct comparison. You know, we haven't seen Ku put in the exact same circumstances as Hercules and stuff. But what they've shown, I think Ku is more willing to do morally gray things compared to Hercules. Yeah, that's a really nice turn. We got our crit up, we got our art up. The bad news is our art up is not very high rank. Our crit up is rank 1. You know, we don't have our upgraded MP. There's a lot working against us there. Fuck, I'm gonna have to use this now. Am I the only one that feels like Jack doesn't like books? Jack is really going ham on the book here. Yeah, I agree that they should flip that. I think, you know, I feel like everyone would like that more, Saber Nero, where instead of having Avenger Hercules, we have Hercules kill his master there, and then go rogue, and then maybe join up with someone else or whatever. Because that's, okay, because for real, I'm not just saying this because, you know, I obviously am always saying that I want them to add regular Hercules, and it's always super annoying that we never get regular Hercules. Which, first of all, I think that's a legitimate gripe. But, okay, I really feel like something's going on here. She's always attacked Nursery Rhyme. Anyway, so they always kind of dabble with the idea. It's like a plot point or a threat that's always like present, but it never happens. They don't really ever, they so rarely actually have servants just flat out boom and kill their master. It happens occasionally, but it's not normally that big of a plot point, and it's normally more of like the shithead servants that do it and stuff like that. And they really have, I can't think of a time where they've ever had the kind of typical Magus being a Magus thing, and then have a servant really put their foot down and then get away with it. Yeah, Medea kind of did, but I'm going to get into that in a second. First of all, Medea kind of counts as a shithead. I love Medea, but let's be real, Medea is kind of a shithead. She is the closest I can think of, though, but I'll get into her in a second. But generally, when they have Magus doing that kind of, you know, typical Magus behavior like the guy in Fate Strange Fake is doing, right? They don't generally pay for it, especially not right away, right? Normally the servants are the ones that pay for it. That's like a reoccurring thing that happens in a lot of Fate works, is you have the kind of typical Magus mindset, and the ones that end up paying for it is normally the servants. And the servants normally don't necessarily like it, and it's kind of a thing, right? But it'd be, I think it's a great way to establish what Hercules is and like how you want regular Hercules to behave in contrast to Berserker Hercules and everything, and then and also make him badass where he gets away with it, right? He beats his master, doesn't die, and then doesn't even fade away and finds a way to stay in the world. And you know, if you make him Archer Hercules, he has independent action, so it's not like you're not ass pulling for this. You know, you could reasonably have this happen, right? And like I think it would be so much cooler if you got Hercules' master being the typical Magus, right? And then, you know, Hercules kills him because, you know, he cares more about, like, you know, these other things more so than Magus, you know, Grail bullshit. And then you can have regular Hercules in a fucking story. And the whole reason they didn't go this route isn't because they don't think Hercules could do it, or not because they don't think it fits, or not because it wouldn't be popular. It's just because the writer said he didn't want to write regular Hercules. That's the whole fucking reason for all the nonsense that happens with Hercules in Fate Strange Fake, which really sucks, but it is what it is. There's a few other, like, specific, you know, characters that are really good for portraying their master, but yeah, Archer as a class is definitely the best class for portraying your master because they have high ranks of independent action by default. Yeah, Hercules just being a hero and like doing what he thinks you know he should do and everything without a master would be really fucking awesome in Fate Strange Fake. And it fits the format so well, right? Like it's perfect because it has a a much larger cast than normal. It doesn't have a main character, so you can get away with like lots of confrontations and people like, oh, he might be the main bad guy, getting killed by a side character. You can actually do stuff like that when there is no main character. And because the cast is so big, there's you can easily have Hercules kill people off and stuff without it like ruining the plot and that kind of stuff. So it would work really well, and I think it's a real shame we don't get that. I just hate how we don't have Saint Hercules, man. After all this time, man. The only way Lu Bu, if he was sane, would not betray his master is if one, you used a bunch of command spells, or if you happen to look like his wife, or like Chen Gong fucking summoned him, right? Otherwise, it says he has like an innate desire to betray things, and like even as a berserker where he loses his sanity, he still has a desire to betray things, which is funny. Okay, now we get story summons, so we can be quote unquote legit. By the way, to this day, Berserker Lu Bu has like the best stats out of any servant, I'm pretty sure. I don't think they've trumped that yet. The stats are absolutely crazy. And his skills synergize with his stats. And his MP is really strong. The worst thing is if you double summon, like fate bullshit, things happen. If someone summoned 2 servants, and you summon Qin Gong and Lu Bu, that would not be good. And you still only have 3 command spells. I want Qin Gong in an anime really bad. I like, memes aside, all memes aside, although I love the memes, but Qin Gong is an awesome character. They did such a good job with him. Like, I always say this, I'm not really a big fan of like Chinese history and stuff. I don't like hate it, but it's really never been my shtick at all. And I don't really like Chinese like garb that much, aesthetically. It's not really my shtick. But Qin Gong is so good! They did such a good job of like representing him as a character and the voice actor, and then like, although his like garb and stuff isn't really my style, it's still super fitting for what it should be and everything. Like it's like they did so good with Qin Gong, man. They did so good with him. Like I super like him. I would love him in an anime so much. Oh, Sigurd and Brunhilde, yeah, that'd be bad. I mean, that's like, you could make like a whole Fate story about, everyone's duo summoning and everybody just summons like the worst fucking combos possible for like actually, practical surviving. Yeah, that would be a pretty funny story. If someone gets, Brunhilde and Sigurd, somebody gets Qin Gong and Lu Bu. Let's see, what else could you get? Zerkerlot and Artoria. Yeah, that'd be really bad. That'd be really fucking bad. Pins and Achilles. Good luck with that one. That's like impossible, dude. That's so bad. There's no command spell is gonna fix that one. Or traditional. Actually, Lancer Artoria I don't think would go that bad. If it's regular Lancer Artoria, I don't think that would be that might actually work out if you can just keep Mordred from flying off the handle in 5 seconds. That might actually work out, right? Regular Artoria though and Mordred though I don't think would work out very well. There's a lot of Greek stuff that's not great. Dude, they did it on purpose. There is no way they did not do this on purpose. And I actually like this because it was kind of subtle. This was a really good like way to do something gameplay wise. You know, Medea's not really a thing in Lost Belt 5, right? Especially regular Medea. That's not a thing in Lost Belt 5. But everybody knows what's going on with with Aphrodite and Medea, right? Like that's everybody knows that's a thing. And this is not a coincidence. There is no way this is a coincidence. They made the Aphrodite fight in a way where both regular Medea and Medea Lily are both ridiculously good for that boss fight. Right? They absolutely did that on purpose, right? There's no way they did not have that in mind. Like it's a fucking debuff fight, and they both have debuff removal and all that, and you can remove her buffs. She's an assassin. They're both casters, right? They went so far out of their way there to make that fight good for both Medeas. Lancelot and Garrett. I don't think that would actually be a problem. It would just be funny, but I don't think Lancelot would actually have any desire to, because he only wanted to kill her because she was stopping him from getting to Guinevere. That being said, summoning Aphrodite and Medea would be really bad. Hans and nursery rhyme. They'd probably get it sorted out, but yeah, there could be a lot of chaos there. I like how I'm going with the story support one. We got, a slightly better Mordred. Look at this. No upgraded NP, no upgraded second skill, and no third skill. Hisk, hisk, hisk. Just summon every single Tam and chaos. I mean, there's some berserkers actually don't have high mana consumption, but most of them do. But some masters are, abnormally good, or they have access to, mana through some other means. Or, in Cainith's case, you can cheat and get someone else to supply mana. Yeah, the funny thing is, Gil and Emiya don't really have the same issues that, like, Shiro and Gil have. And actually, Gil doesn't even care anymore in Fate Hollow, because Gil in Fate Hollow has all of his memories from all the previous Grail Wars, like Fate, Unload Blade Works, Heaven's Feel, etc., etc. And at first, Shiro's like, oh, shit. But then Gil's like, I don't care. So it's whatever. And so it might actually work out. And then, like, with Emiya especially, actually, I don't think there'd be that big of a problem, because, I mean, Gil even says he is more on board with Emiya than Shiro. Like, he's all like, at least Emiya wasn't half-baked and all that. Like, I really don't think they'd have that big of a problem. And Emiya understands Gil well enough to not get on his bad side. So I don't think there'd actually be a problem there. I think the only problem would be, like, they probably wouldn't cooperate very much. Like, I don't think they'd get into a fight with each other at all. I don't think there'd be any problem. But, like, in combat, they are not gonna work together in any way, right? If anything, they'd be, like, trying to show up each other, which isn't exactly good for getting shit done. Although that's probably gonna be an issue with Gilgamesh no matter what you do. So there's that. Actually, I think Gil and Artoria would go fine as well, as long as it's, like, not Grail corrupted Gil. But, like, if you look at, like, how Artoria, how she feels about Gil, like, at the end of the Fate route and everything, and all that stuff, and, like, what she says in FGO and everything, I don't really think there'd be a problem. Like, again, I don't think it's, like, a match made in heaven by any means, and they're not really on the same page in many ways. But, I mean, she actually does respect Gil and actually agrees with him in certain areas. She basically, like, straight up agrees with him in many areas, but then disagrees with him in others, right? She's like, yeah, he's like, you know, right here, here, and here, but it doesn't apply here, here, and here, and that kind of thing. But Artoria absolutely does not hate Gilgamesh. It kind of seems that way, especially at the beginning, but by the end of Fate and everything, she really doesn't. Like how this wave is so... What the fuck? Like, this is so easy. Like, stat-wise. It's so much lower than what we even had in Oceanus. 2 waves, 16k. Oh, man. But whatever will I do? Neutral is probably the best way of putting it, right? He does a lot of things, obviously, that she is not on board with. And they disagree on several things, but they agree on other things too. And she definitely respects him, so... Like, her line in FGO is basically like, yeah, I don't exactly, you know, see eye to eye with him, but I respect him. That's basically what she says, and that's kind of how she is at the end of the Fate route. Like, it's kind of weird, but honestly, I think Artoria gets along with Gil better, at least by the end of the story, not at the beginning, obviously. But more than a lot of the other servants, really. She doesn't get along with that many of the servants. Like, you want to talk... Here's one that no one really thinks about it, but this is actually one that would be a problem, is Artoria and Ku. That would not work out well at all. They are in absolutely different wavelengths. A lot of people think, oh, they're both kind of good guys, you know, so that would work out. But no, they absolutely are not. Like, Ku has a big fucking problem with people like Artoria. That's also in Prototype as well. Like, Proto-Ku does not like Arthur at all. He doesn't, like, they don't... The Ku boys don't like that, like, you know, uptight, you know, because Ku has his own honor and code of conduct and stuff, but it's not like that, you know, really, you know, like stereotypical, you know, knightly, you know, Prince Charming, you know, king, honor bro type thing. They don't like that kind of attitude at all. And, you know, they don't like that, the formality and that kind of stuff, like within the royalty, you know, I'm the king, you gotta do what I say kind of mindset. There's a lot of, you know, not getting along when it comes to Ku, and all the Kus and all the Artorias and Arthurs. That's like a thing. Actually, it's probably worse with Arthur and Proto-Ku from what they've shown. I don't know though. None of them get along. I guess this will work. I don't want to put. I need to level David's skills. Yeah, and Enkidu and Ishtar wouldn't work. I mean, that's just not gonna happen. I mean, let's be real. Ishtar would die, right? Because Enkidu is like the best toolkit ever for beating her. And if, you know, Daddy's not there, like, and there's no way you're going to be able to control Enkidu, right? Like, normally he's really reasonable and all that stuff, but he really does not like Ishtar, and for good reason. And, you know, he's so OP, he's got, you know, his clay can make things that are equivalent to everything in Gate, so I'm sure has ways to get out of command spells and everything else. So I don't think there's a world where you summon Enkidu and Ishtar, and if there's no plot armor, no plot contrivance, I'm pretty sure Ishtar would just end up dead really fast. There's nothing you could do about it. Yeah, that's such a bad matchup for her. Like, if you look at what they do lore-wise, like, she has no fucking chance, like, at all. Phase Range Fake is kind of wild, though, because that's a different, you know, version of Ishtar. We got Bull of Heaven and Humbaba. That's the big problem, is Humbaba, because Humbaba is probably going to be a big counter to Enkidu. I don't think Enkidu would even want to kill Humbaba, so it's gonna get weird. Impale Rider. I do think though Enkidu's gonna do some stuff coming up in Phase Change Fate, because he hasn't done much, and then Gil's, you know, on life support with a tree, and so I think Enkidu's gonna, you know, do some stuff, but then they'll probably have Enkidu get wrecked eventually, just because, you know, Humbaba and Tail Rider and everything. The only way I could see Enkidu not murdering Ishtar is if, you know, Enkidu super liked his master and then use a command spell, and then, you know, Ishtar's not being a fuck. I guess it would depend on Ishtar's vessel. Because the thing, most times, Ishtar is going to be a selfish, evil, you know, piece of shit, right? And so, like, not only does he hate her, but there's a lot of reason to kill her anyway. And the problem is, I don't think Ishtar would be around long enough for Enkidu to actually get to know his master and have even an opinion on his master, right? I think the first thing he would do is kill Ishtar, right? Like, I don't think he would even take 5 seconds to be like, what's going on? Why did I just get some? He would just kill Ishtar, right? It's just like the natural thing to do. Obviously, with plot, they wouldn't do that because, you know, there's so many reasons you wouldn't do that for a story, and, you know, stories are contrived, so I don't think they would actually have it happen. But logically, I think it definitely would. Now, that wouldn't make any sense, though, because what would the point of having 2 servants if both of them have to survive, right? Because then if one dies, basically they're out of action, right? So that wouldn't really work. It'd just be harder, though. I mean, you'd be at a real disadvantage. If the enemy has 2 servants and you don't, you know, that's inherently a problem. Because even if you summon something really OP like Achilles, they might have summoned something OP like Ozzy or something too, right? Now, I do think, you know, that's not necessarily equal. I'm just saying there's a lot of OP shit out there and you can never be too safe. Apoc definitely could have done their concepts better. Am I the only one that feels like this is a reoccurring thing in Fate, and hell, even in other franchises, but definitely in Fate, where like the premise is maybe okay? So I think we can all agree this happens a lot in anime and comic books and video games, movies. This is like a trope, I feel like, in a lot of storytelling, where you've got like the basic premise of like A versus B, or you know, a typical war, or a typical you know thing, but then behind the curtain there's got to be the mysterious plot to summon the zombie dragon, or the voodoo god, or the dark kelp, or the electric seaweed, or whatever, you know, and that's got to be the big thing, and that's got, you know, and it sucks. Am I the only one that's like so fucking tired of that? Like, sometimes I just want, like, you know, Kingdom A versus Kingdom B, and then there may be Kingdom C in the middle, and then just actually have that, right? You know, it's like, you know, Apoc's premise is like, you know, a Grail War but a team fight, and, you know, it's pretty straightforward. But then it's all, oh, but Amakusa, and, you know, blah, 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 you know, and it's just like, why does it always have to be like that? Like, can we just have like some normal, because I just want to see cool characters with their interactions with their masters and their interactions with the other servants, and then have, you know, the cool shit when they're fighting and stuff, right? Like, I don't need this backdrop of, ooh, boogeyman, like, you know, it's dumb. And, you know, sometimes it works, but it gets pretty old, especially when it's all the time. I feel like everyone's afraid to do like a generic story, but it's not actually generic because nobody does it. That's the thing. The obvious thing isn't generic because nobody fucking does it. It's always this, you know, the dark kelp. Because like a normal straightforward story can actually be really good if, like, because here's the thing, you can have interesting plot points, betrayal, and character motivations, and character growth, and character arcs. You don't need summoning the apocalypse dragon, right, to have a good fucking story. That's not necessary in any way. That's not what makes a good story. That's not what makes a good plot, right? Like I say, you can have loads of character growth and character interactions and character arcs and development and death and betrayal and you know, all these things in a fairly straight up setup, right? Sometimes the simple stuff enables you to do some of the more interesting, you know, plots. You know, like look at even like, I don't know, Code Geass or something. You know, I was like, oh, it's so complicated. It really isn't, right? It's like, yeah, there's a lot of like moving parts and stuff, but the actual plot outline is simple as fuck, right? And but even that, what I like, I'll give this to Code Geass. What I like about that is they had their mysterious boogie bullshit in the background that they make you think is going to be the final boss. You know, Lelouch's dad with all the god magic stuff, and you know, but that it wasn't, right? They made it look like that was going to be the big thing, and it wasn't, right? The big thing ended up just being the down-to-earth, you know, typical stuff that the show had always been about with Schneisel and everything. That was so much better, right? I liked that so much because I'm like, oh god, you know, you got this nice shtick going on with like the politics and the portrayal and the, you know, motivations of the characters, and then oh my, they've been leading into this stupid Lelouch daddy issues with mystical god bullshit. But then they just throw it out the window in like 5 seconds. Like they address it, it happens, and then it ends up not being that important. And then they get back down to business, and then that's the finale, which is a million times better, right? Like I really respected that. That was really good. We need more of this. But you can also just cut the boogeyman stuff, right? You don't need it, right? It's okay not, and sometimes it's fine. You know, sometimes it's nice to have the, you know, the apocalypse dragon or whatever. That, you know, I'm not saying ban these things. It's just, it's all the time. It's literally all the time. And then we don't ever get, like, I think APOC is just such a good example. If we had just gotten the actual outline of the story as the actual story, I think it would have been a million times better. Yeah, Fate Zero is probably the closest we've had to a kind of straightforward thing. And also it's like my favorite, so hold on a second, I gotta turn the fan on. Because one of the things I like best about Fate Zero is that it has like some of the best like character arcs and characters interactions and all that stuff, and it's able to do those things by just doing the basic premise, right? I like Code Geass Season 1 a lot, and then I like Season 2, and like I think it was a good ending, and it was a necessary wrap-up and everything, but as we talked about last time, it's really obvious that like executives got involved, right? You know, Season 1 did really well, made a lot of money, so then the executives, you know, put, you know, more stipulations on things, and so there's a lot more like contrivance, and things are dragged out, and death cop-outs and pandering and that kind of stuff. So I think Season 2 is definitely not as good as Season 1, but I think it still wrapped up the series well and was good. But yeah, overall, I really like Code Geass. It's not perfect. There's things that can be better about it, but overall, I think it's just really, really, really enjoyable. Actually need a writer for once. I know there are a few fights with casters throughout this, because you have Babbage and Clown Boy. This actually might be Clown Boy. So this is where I wish I had the Canis CE, because it's invulnerability instead of evade, and a lot of times that doesn't matter, but for David it matters. You want to have invulnerability so you can cast evade and not have it no effect, and then it just sits there while you have invulnerability covering you, and by the time evade gets pinged off, it's off cooldown again, and you can, you know, that's really good, but we don't have that, so. This is still good on David, but it's definitely less good. I don't have a lot of alternatives, though. Oh, there we go. That's the one. I haven't read Lost Belt 2 yet, but Lost Belt 1 was done a lot better. Like, Lost Belt 1 was such a noticeable step up in terms of just storytelling. Now, I've always said I can totally see why some people might not particularly like the story, maybe not like the characters that are in it, and this might not like the setting and stuff, but just in terms of like the way it tells the story and how there's actually some narration and they actually describe what the characters are doing sometimes and things like that, I think it was just way better. And I actually liked the story for the most part and the way it was told. So yeah, I thought Lost Belt 1 was really good, and so I'm expecting Lost Belt 2 to be of the same quality. I think thematically and like the characters that they're using and stuff, I doubt I'm gonna like Lost Belt 2 as much as 1. And I already know what happens. I've read translations of it and stuff. I haven't read translations for Lost Belt 2 nearly as detailed as like the translations for Lost Belt 5. I already basically know everything that happens in Lost Belt 5 and like how all the characters, what they say and stuff, so there's like no surprises for that one. But for like Lost Belt 2, I don't know like some of the details. But I don't expect I'm gonna like it as much, simply because I don't really like the setting, and I don't like the way they handled Fenrir and all that, and Surtur. Like, there's just a lot of stuff I don't like, and then I just don't like the characters as much. But I'm sure in terms of like the way they tell the story and all that, I think I would expect it to be as good as Lost Belt 1. And if it's not, I'd be annoyed, but I expect it to be as good. So. I've always liked Billy and Avicii Braun because I already knew what their characters were like and stuff, because I read all the outside material, and for Avicii Braun I actually read the fucking book. So really, with Billy, it's like I always knew how Billy was, and I knew America didn't portray him properly, and that was really lame. But I definitely enjoyed seeing him characterized better and actually getting screen time, and them actually respecting his abilities somewhat. They still didn't have him use his fucking Noble Phantasm, which at least they have him use his Noble Phantasm in Saber Wars, but and they actually have it do the effect that it has, where you it can evade anything and then counterattack. I do love the part with Kadok trying to do his super command spell, and then Billy's just like, lol, no. Like, that part was great. The way they've handled Edmund is fine. I mean, he's not supposed to be dead and gone and stuff. Like, he should be reused. That's what I was saying. It's like, okay, so I get where people are coming from with the Musashi stuff. But I think a lot of people are missing the mark a bit. So first of all, there's a camp of people that do legitimately super like Musashi, and they're all on board for Musashi wank. And then there's the other side that acts like the Musashi wank is the same as the Nero wank, which it's just not. Now, I agree that they're kind of pandering a bit, and the reason they chose Musashi to be the reoccurring character is because she was popular and that kind of stuff. Like, that stuff I get. But the basic premise of having characters that are in more than one singularity and have an overarching story that is kind of goes throughout the different stories is good, right? And we actually need more of that, right? And they are doing that with the bad guys, but they haven't really done that with the good guys aside from Musashi. And I'm like, they really should be doing more of that. So I have no issue with Musashi being used a lot, and her being a reoccurring character and all that. I think they kind of overdid it a little bit in terms of like what they have her accomplishing and that kind of stuff. But of course it's Musashi because she's popular, yada yada yada. But like, I'd have no problem with like them having a reoccurring character like that. That doesn't bother me at all. But I've seen a lot of people like, oh, it's just Musashi wank, like Nero wank, and it's like, it's not really the same thing. Like, it's okay to have reoccurring characters. It really is. Like I said, I think we need more of those. Well, see, okay, there's a difference between, like, Shimosa is a good example. Well, no, I mean, she's powered up by the Grail and stuff in Shimosa, and she still has magical stuff. I don't know why everyone keeps missing that. Anyway, yeah, she is not normal in Shimosa. But in Shimosa, they also jump through hoops to be like, she's not really beating them legit. Like, she's not, a lot of those, she's not 1v1ing them and beating them. That's not really a thing. And let's be clear about this. I'm not denying that there's similar, that they do like overhype her and that kind of stuff, right? And like I said, there are similarities to Nero wank and stuff. There is pandering and that kind of stuff. I'm not saying there isn't, but they can do that with any character, and that's the problem isn't that she's reoccurring, right? Like I said, the problem is more of how they use her sometimes when they do reuse her. Like, her character arc I think is fine, and like her motivations are fine and that. But, I agree that they do kind of overhype her and stuff. I agree with people that are saying that. I get it. But, it's not, I don't think it's a fair comparison. There is a bit of apples to apples there, but overall, and the total way that they use Musashi is not the same as how they use Nero. Like, it's just not. And especially not for Edmund, because Edmund's not even supposed to be dead and stuff, so it wouldn't make any sense. But yeah, rarely is Musashi actually in a fair fight in any of her stories, really. And I get it, and I totally get, like, if you don't even like the character and so you don't like seeing them pop up so much, but that, that's going to happen no matter what, right? I think to have a good story, you're going to need recurring characters. I think that's important. Otherwise, it's really hard for things to have any depth or weight if you don't have, if everything, it's like a sitcom. Right, if everything that happened, any progress that happened in the episode is erased by the end, like if every episode is a reset button, that is shallow, and it feels shallow, and it feels forced, because you know, okay, well, what contrivance are they going to come up with to make sure everything's reset by the end of this singularity? And that's what I was saying with Canis. That's why the way they got rid of Canis, that just felt like the ending of a sitcom, where they're just forcing a reset button, right? It didn't feel natural. It didn't feel like that's actually how the plot should have flowed and stuff. So I don't like these like strict rules where, you know, each singularity needs to be a reset button. That's not good, because it doesn't feel natural, and especially with all the magical abilities and stuff. Now, again, I think, you know, a lot of the way Musashi was used, you know, could have been better. But I'm all for reoccurring characters. I think we need more of that. And like Edmund hasn't even gotten that much screen time, you know. Like each time he shows up, he's not getting to do a lot, so it's not really a big deal. I should have cast this a while ago. I could do so much more damage this turn, but I want to get Musashi's NP, so. Now see, sitting, it's like sitting master versus Musashi does not come out making it look like Musashi's better. Not at all. Quite the opposite. Because sitting master doesn't have the grail or anything. He is just a regular human, right? Just through and through. And it's not really a fair fight anyway. So like, if anything, he's the one that comes out looking better there. Actually, they've had a lot of counter guardians throughout. Like a lot of the servants we're working with in the singularities are summoned, you know, by the counter force and stuff like that. Although I do feel like they do often have the counter force trip on their dress, if you will. They do that a lot. Like Lost Belt 5, you know, the whole counter force gets like wiped out. Okay, I'll say this: if they, I'll join y'all if they bring Musashi back and she's she gets summoned in the Grand Saber container and everything. Okay, that just no, right? That I'm on board if that happens, right? That's stupid, right? Like she's had her character arc, it's over, that's done, right? Like so, if they do anything like that. Then yeah, that's way too much at that point. Yeah, there's definitely a level of going too far here. I don't know. Yeah, they might do it. It sounds stupid, and that makes me, you know, I buy it more. If it's that dumb, it might happen. So I should have done quick Buster Buster just to do the BM combo. Just kind of not paying attention there. But yeah, Fate definitely panders. There's no. That's, you know, I agree, they do pander to Musashi fans and stuff, but like I say, I think they do to everything, and then the way they handled the character in terms of like her being reused and stuff, that's fine. Because it's not like they made it up either, like that from the beginning she was supposed to be like dimension hopping and all that stuff. Although I will say, you know, there's an obvious degree of biasm here, because for both the characters, they kind of established that both Musashi and Arthur were like these two characters that are both from different worlds that aren't ours, and they're both have the ability to singularity hop and that kind of stuff. And they've barely used Arthur, and they've obviously used Musashi a lot. So, you know, that's kind of lame, but you could still have had all this stuff with Musashi and just used Arthur more, and it would have been better. Hopefully we'll see more of Arthur later. I think we'll get one outing and that'll be about it, which is kind of dumb, but... And at that point, I can definitely agree to that poor handling, when you have two characters that have like the same premise, but different character arcs and different motivations and stuff. And then you handle one you know, you give them loads of screen time, and the other one you don't like give it any to. That's not the best look. Doesn't really matter what I give him. We're not really planning on using him, so. Because I was doing stupid things. It wasn't even really for me. It was for other people. Because I always say this: I don't make my support list for farming. I don't want to be the guy that people go to for farming. I want to be the guy when they are on that really annoying challenge quest that they only have to do the one time. They're like, and because I think, okay, just back it up here. I think we've all been in this situation where you're wanting to do a challenge quest or a main story fight, and you're wanting to, you know, use stuff that's good and optimized. Right, and so maybe if you're trying to summon a waiver, you're like, you want waiver with 2030 or K-Scope or Golden Carp or the Canis CE or, you know, but they never have that. They always have, like, you know, fucking, you know, Bond up, you know, or QP up. It's like, yeah, that'll help fight Zeus. It's like, Zeus is over here about to beat my ass, right, and I'm gonna get this Bond up though. That'll do it. Right, so I generally make my support list more aimed at, you know, yeah, if I can throw some stuff on there and not really affect anything and get, you know, some FP from farming, sure. But I like to slot things that'll help people out for challenge quests. And if you're doing the Fuma challenge quest, Scatty obviously is not going to be your main damage dealer. But if she has the damage CE, that's actually pretty helpful. Because she's a caster and he's an assassin. So she's counterclassing. And now she does 200% bonus damage. And he summons that ad that... Because I think, we've all been in that spot where it's like you do the... you do your big NP, it doesn't quite kill the clone, or doesn't quite kill an ad, or doesn't quite kill the break a health bar, or whatever. And then you need your normal attacks afterwards to actually deal with it. You know, Scatty's normal attacks afterwards can actually help you out. So I have 2 MLB damage CEs, so I was like, fuck it, I'll just put one on Scatty because she's counterclassing Fuma. But yeah, I think everybody's been in that situation where they're about to fight Zeus or Demeter or Gramps, you know, Nerofest Gramps. But everything that's slotted is farming shit that doesn't help, right? And you need every like advantage you can get, and you're like, god damn it, right? So I generally try to, you know, I try to make my support list more aimed at hard. I want to be that one guy that's like, oh, everyone else is slotting stupid shit, but at least green will have something at least halfway reasonable for a fucking challenge quest, right? That's kind of how I do it. Because I don't need FP that much, so I don't care. So I'd rather just be more helpful to the people in challenge quests than farming stuff. Because nobody's like, oh no, I don't have enough people on my friends list that have good units for farming. That's not a problem. So normally everyone on my friends list has farming stuff slotted and literally nothing else. Why did I bring Ushi? I even thought I brought a nursery rhyme, but I clearly didn't. Why did I do this? Uh-oh. Well, time to have Mordred carry with her unupgraded NP and no third skill. I'm putting George in the chain because, I don't know, maybe he gets his NP at some point and it does 2 damage. Oh yeah, you're gonna get Ushi's quick up soon. I could have it now, I just haven't upgraded her enough. Okay, I'm gonna have Mordred murder the assassins because the Lancer's not a threat where the assassins actually are. I was really hoping that would do more damage than that. But yeah, we finally get Ku's NP upgrade, which obviously he doesn't need, but I'm happy to have it because it sucks whenever I play NA, my Ku's does so much less damage, right? It's not great. Like, I'm used to the JP one, right? So obviously I don't want to use the NA one. That being said, other Lancers definitely deserved it more, but I'll take it because we already got it. Hey, Crow. These hands are killing me. But I brought 2 fucking riders against assassins. Although I thought George would die by now. So this isn't entirely my fault. Hey, Looking Glass, thank you for the 100 bits. I'm sorry, the 130 bits. If Ushi died before George, I would not have been happy. MB5 coup through caster class summon? What do you mean, caster coup? Yeah, they made him a lot better because he got like a double buff. You know, his NP got upgraded, so that's just the standard extra damage, and then it comes with the buster up before casting the NP. So really good for him. I swear they did that because they know damage is a problem for budget casters. Oh, this is a joke final round. Yeah, the anniversary. You got like Curse Arm, Coup, Ushi, I think Caster Coup. Yeah, the sound effect's messed up. Yeah, I know this MP super well. That sound effect is messed up. Let's see if I can fix that. But yeah, I'm pretty excited for whatever JP gets for the anniversary. You know, buffs are always exciting because maybe they buff somebody that actually deserves it. So far this has been easy, but the ending is where the bosses actually have stats. I mean, if David can... I mean, which Zigguard? You fight him like a million times. But if he can do it, I doubt he could do it at 70. I'm pretty sure we did solo Zigguard with a Grail David, though. I don't know, he might be able to do it just because he really is tanky, but... Mordred being a bitch. As she do. Nice damage. You know something that I'd really like on Kid Gil, and it actually fits his personality pretty well? I think it would have been better if they made his NP gain AoE like for the whole team instead of just for himself. And that would actually make it a lot easier to justify bringing him, because even though his NP doesn't do like the world's best damage and his survivability is bad and everything, if he's helping your other archer, you know, really, you know, do his stuff, and then also get his own NP faster, that would be really good, I think. Just being 10-10-10, I think, would really help solo Zigguard. Because, I mean, 10-10 is such a big deal, because it can make the difference between getting your skills back a second or third time, or not. And then each time you cast them, you're getting more out of them, so it's a really big deal. So, obviously, Robin can one-shot this, even at NP2, I would imagine. But we'll do Kid Gills just to get the overcharge. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was going to say that's how they should have made it originally. I even was thinking this in my head as I was saying it, that, you know, he kind of needs a better buff than that. I wouldn't buff him by just making his third skill AoE. But I think he should have been like that inherently. Right? That should have been his original third skill. But yeah, if I was going to buff him, I would definitely buff his second skill. I would do two things. I would buff it so it's 100% success chance like Alexander's. Like, it's just annoying that it's not. And then give it another effect. Don't give it Alexander's effect, though. I wouldn't do that. You know what I'd probably do is I'd give it Buster Resist down. They don't have a lot of that kind of thing for budget units. That'd make it a pretty easy way to justify bringing them. And there's a lot of synergy you could do with like Shakespeare and stuff like that, or Chen Gong. So yeah. I don't know about AoE. That's probably too much, especially because you know his charm is not AoE, and if his charm was AoE, that's way too much. Like that. I mean, I don't know. It's like I mean, I guess you. Like, I don't know if it really fits, right? And then at that point, you might be pooping on some of the other people like Shakespeare, because Shakespeare's AoE buster up, right? But it's like, you know, there's room for, you know, for them to seriously buff some of the budget units, right? When you've got units like 100 Face, Ku, David, George, Hans, you know, these are budget units that are so strong and have such powerful abilities. You know, you can, it's like how they buffed Hohenheim, you know, they made him like 300% stronger, you know, just all of a sudden. You know, you could do that for Kid Gill, and I don't think that would be, you know, unreasonable for the meta or anything. I don't know, that is a bit much though. If he all of a sudden had a 100% success chance. Okay, what you'd have to do is, you'd have to make it where it's not a 100% success chance. Because that's just not fair. Like, an AoE stun is so strong. Like, that is so fucking strong. So you have to make it where it's still got the RNG on it, but then it's an AoE charm, and then it has Buster Resist down for all enemies. Or you make it where it's a guaranteed charm, 100%, you know, works on anything, like Antoinette's does, on one target, and then Buster Resist down for one target. I honestly like that more because having a guaranteed charm is really nice. And that's like, and with Antoinette, it's really nice that she's able to charm anything. It doesn't have to be humanoid. Well, you probably are going to get Artoria's animation update early, but there's no way they're going to give you her buffs early. They don't ever give buffs early, and I mean they shouldn't. I just brought archers to a Lancer stage. Like, but giving buffs early is not right, because that messes up gameplay a lot. It's like, you know, when you fought Guadia back in the day, there were certain things you weren't supposed to have back then, right? And it's gonna balance like that. Now, I will say this, there are times where I feel like you could give a buff early, but you can't pick and choose, because if you do, people are saying, well, why'd you give us this and not that? But, for example, there are certain units that are just shit, right? They're not, when they're first released, they're not right. Like, they're not right. Like, they clearly need to be buffed. And then normally it takes DW way too long to buff them because they're, you know, a small indie dev, please understand. And so units like that, I wouldn't care. Like, if they finally buff Phantom, it's fine with me if NA gets it literally the same day, right? That's totally fine with me. That's not gonna break the balance of the game. And that just means Phantom gets to be, you know, viable like he always should have been. So that would be fine, but they're not gonna, they can't pick and choose like that, right? They can't do that, and I understand why they can't. So I'm not, you know, I'm not mad that they're not giving buffs early. Like, it would make a lot of problems if they gave buffs early. But yeah, they're giving NA animation updates early like crazy now. They've clearly seen the light on that one, so I'm sure you'll get Artoria's. Yeah, they have done buffs late, and that I dislike that more. I dislike them giving buffs late more than giving buffs early. It hasn't happened too much, but yeah, they've fucked up several times with like interludes and stuff like that, and they come out later than they're supposed to. The Siegfried one really sucked because he missed major boss fights that he was supposed to have his buff for. That's just fucked. Like, that's just fucked. Because there were like limited time, you know, challenge quests and stuff, not main story stuff. Because like with Robin, so on JP, Robin got his buff, and Mozart. Both Robin and Mozart got their third skills like 2 or 3 days after Camelot was released. Where NA didn't get it for like a month or something after Camelot was released. So that was pretty lame. But at least Camelot's not going anywhere. But yeah, Siegfried missed major bosses that he was good for in events, because they gave him his buff so late. I was not a fan of that. That was super lame. For the most part, though, they've been pretty accurate for when you get buffs. They've never done any early, and they've only done a few late. And they're normally not that late, but sometimes they're just late at times that are unfortunate timing. Hans is a super good unit without his upgrade. That's actually a good example of one you absolutely should not give early. I think that was a pretty well done buff timing-wise because the game's changed and the game's harder than it ever has been, and the competition is stronger than ever. So it's like, you know, back in the day, you didn't really need Hans to be that strong like he is now. You don't, yeah, it's not necessary. But how the game has evolved and how the challenge quests have gotten harder and all that, it's good to have a low star support that can be that helpful. I mean, Hans is still way behind Waver and Merlin. You know, he's not even close to that stuff. But, you know, as a budget unit, he still does a really nice job for, you know, helping your team out. And because the game is much harder now, that's fair and that's good. And I think the only problem is they need to make the other supports like that. Like, Shakespeare, anyone that does a lot of budget stuff will see this so easily. I mean, Shakespeare just does not keep up well with the other budget supports and stuff, the more modern stuff. Like, you know, New Hans, Qin Gong, Mozart, you know, although Mozart still really, you know, hasn't gotten updated. Mozart was so OP from the beginning since he got his third skill anyway. He is so far ahead of Shakespeare. Shakespeare has not kept up well. And then Asclepius, you know, Asclepius has also got the battery and stuff. It's hard to use Shakespeare without Poster Girl. It's still really easy to use Shakespeare with Poster Girl. That makes him actually crazy good, but obviously most people don't have that, so. Wish that Alex leveled right now with the support. Castergilius needs a lot of buffs. See, okay, God. So we're in a world where, like, let's look at the budget units. We're in a world where we have Hans that's so helpful and impactful. Not OP by any means, but he's super helpful and has a lot of uses. Oh, hey, Nursery Rhyme. And then you have Castergilius, right? Who's just, I mean, he's just so behind. So it's like, there's no single buff they can really give him to, like, I'd be so okay if they just, like, buffed the crap out of him, you know, buffed his NP and his skill at the same time, right? I actually have a friend that really likes him, and he's always wanted them to buff him, and they haven't. So am I the only one that wants them to buff way more units than normal on the anniversary? If they just do the normal amount? If they do the normal amount, there's no way I'm going to be happy. Because there's just too many units that are owed buffs. There's just too many. And because they always buff a bunch of stuff that's just popular. I mean, let's be real, they always buff a bunch of stuff that's just popular. And normally that stuff isn't like super strong, so you can get away with buffing them, but they're normally light years ahead of, you know, the bottom feeders that are, like, you know, in desperate need of a buff, right? Like, they always buff a bunch of stuff like that. And so normally only like 2 or 3 units that really need a buff get buffed. And then there's a bunch of units that, yeah, it's nice they got buffs, but it's not like they, you know, they weren't like in the worst shape. And we didn't get, that's the thing, we didn't get the buffs that we normally get mid-year. They normally do a round of buffs for the anniversary and then like a round of buffs in September or something like that. And they didn't do it. So we're already behind on buffs this year, and then we're always so fucking behind on units that need to be buffed. That I'm like, yeah, can we get like way more buffs on the anniversary? That'd be hype. That'd be hype. Just so many buffs, like so many buffs, because there's so many units that use it, I mean need it, and it sucks because, you know, like, again, every character has their, you know, their fans that really like them, and, you know, people don't want, you know, like Kid Gil, but it's okay. It's like, yeah, Kid Gil's not shit, right? Kid Gil's obviously not shit. He's much better than, you know, a lot of the, you know, like Hyde, you know, or Geronimo. He's only better than them. But, you know, it's really hard to justify using him in comparison to Robin, David, you know, Billy, those kinds of things. So, you know, it'd be nice to, you know, give him something. Doesn't have to make him, you don't have to buff him to the point where he's 10 out of 10, but give him something. And that applies to so many of the older units in this game. Like, I mean, I could go on forever how many fucking, like, you know, year 1 units really need to be, you know, buffed. Yeah, then you got, you know, Phantom and stuff that's, like, super bad. One day we'll get a Mozart animation update. Yeah, I mean, after you play the game for a while, you're gonna get 4 and 5 stars of various roles, but it's always good to have low stars that cover your options, and I am such an advocate for allowing the low stars to keep up with the high stars. I think there should be different pros and cons. You know, when there are certain circumstances where, like, raw stats is really what you want, high normal card damage. You know, 4 and 5 stars are always going to excel at that, and that's fine. But if you have a favorite that's a low star, you can grail them to have them keep up in the normal card department. That's fine, and that's not a problem. But there's nothing, it's not bad that, like, you know, Caesar keeps up when it comes to, like, nuking with 5-star sabers. That's not bad. That's good for the game. You know, because those sabers do that, and they have the good normal card damage and the higher survivability and all that stuff. He's only keeping up in one area, right? And where they do that, and then they also, you know, have all the other things and higher stats and stuff. So, like, you know, having low stars as strong as Hans, as strong as Ku, as strong as 100 Face is fine. It's not a problem. Now, a few of them probably, I think 100 Face kind of pushed it a bit too far. It's not even that she pushed it too far, it's that her competition wasn't good enough, I guess. Because, you know, if you had a 10 to 100 Face, even at level 70, she was better than Kuretsugu, she was better than Shiki, she was better, you know, pretty much all the art 4-star assassins she was better than. They keep up better now because they buff Shiki and stuff. But that probably was a bit much because it wasn't even like, oh, they have their nation, she has hers. She was pretty universally better than them if you actually invested in her properly. It was kind of ridiculous. But again, I think that was more of an issue with the other assassins, not so much 100 Face. I mean, if you don't know when to use skills, you just, you know, experiment, and you know, you'll get better as you go. I think, especially if you're not, like, you know, looking shit up all the time. I think most people 7 months into the game are probably still pretty bad. Nothing to be ashamed of. Just take your time and, you know, experiment things. Because, you know, I do, when I'm doing, like, challenge quests, especially when I'm playing on my own, I'm really focusing, and maybe I'm recording for a video or whatever, and I'm really trying to optimize every fucking thing I'm doing, right? But I'm able to do that because I've been playing the game for a ridiculously long time, right? You're not, it's not a big deal if you're getting used to things. And everybody fucks up. My God, there are definitely times I'm like, whoops, shouldn't have done that. Especially when I'm streaming. Got MP5 Steno. Jeez. I've always said, between Steno, I shouldn't NP on this turn. She's got the extra defense up for 1 turn. You know what? Fuck it. I'm doing it anyway. I just want to see. Let's see how much she can muscle through that double defense up. But yeah, I've always said, between Steno and Uriel, I think Steno is definitely the better one. But neither of them are top dogs to me character-wise. Although I legitimately think Steno is pretty fun gameplay-wise. Yeah, I feel that, GP. It's like, I think I do better than most when it comes to just like game knowledge, just because I play this game so much and I like Fate so much, and I don't know, something's wrong with me. But it's like, it's so not reasonable for everyone to remember every little detail to every fucking character all the time, because there's so many characters and the characters get buffed. And then if you play NA and JP, they're in different states of the game. Like, it's so easy to you know, mess something up. Yeah, I think that's how a lot of people feel, Arjuna. Thanks, yeah, I've read those. I actually didn't really look into Steno. I always just saw Steno and Uriel as like the same person, and I had just seen more of Uriel and read more of Uriel, so I knew what she was like, and I didn't like her at all, and I still don't. And I kind of just threw Steno in the same basket, although in some areas they are pretty similar, and you know, but there was just multiple people on our Discord like, oh, Steno's better than Uriel, she's not that bad, and so then I actually bothered to read her stuff, and yeah, she's not that bad. Not a favorite of mine by any means, but she's an okay character. If you're stuck on a mission, it's probably because you have to do a certain number of missions in a certain node, because those don't show up on like the UI. Like you have to do like X node, a stage within X node 10 times, things like that. I find that's normally the stuff that trips people up. It's either that or bring the welfare enough times, things like that. Damn, it's not like we'd kill her there. By the way, if we had waited a turn, we definitely would, in P, we definitely would have won by now. But I knew we'd win anyway, so. That fog looks so warped. Hey, the book retreated. It's fine. We just kind of slapped it around a little bit. Chat's so violent today. Ugh. This is where I wish I had Qingong or Shakespeare, Hans or something with the battery skill. We do need to get Hans up. Oh yeah, we can. I am so used to not being able to level MASH because of the 1 to 3 star account. But we can actually use MASH on this account, so we can like level her skills and stuff. I like how we got Saber Lily before Mozart. That was a mess. Actually, I don't know what's up with the emotes. I need to talk to Kai, see what the status is. Yes, taking a minute. I'm guessing he's been busy. The odds of getting Angra before Mozart are so low. Like, getting Saber Lily first is obviously abnormal, but it's not that crazy. But getting Angra first is pretty whack. I think it's been more than 2 years for the Bane Scath emote. I don't know why I just did that. Actually, it's fine. Damn. If he'd killed that, that'd have been good. That was actually, I should have given him the attack bow from the Mystico, probably. Why? The inconsistency in these stages, man. I mean, 12K? Again, way easier than Oceanus. I don't get it. But then some of the other stages are definitely harder. Chat, for whatever account you consider your main, what's the challenge quest that's given you the most trouble? Or main story fight, either one. They're kind of the same thing, so. Like major boss, what's the major boss that gave you the most trouble? On whatever account you consider your main one. Cramps. Da Vinci, I know a lot of people had. Bullet Heaven, I'm guessing for Bullet Heaven you didn't have a lot of budget assassins leveled. Because I can see that being tough if you don't have like some extra punch. That fight was just done in a way where you really wanted more than one good assassin, and I think that got a lot of people. A couple people saying Bull, a lot of people saying Gramps. So Gramps, I only, you know, when he first came out, I was newer to the game. And then when he happened on an A, he was easier. Like, Gramps on an A was easier. I went a lot more ham on Gramps than I normally go, because fuck Gramps, that was such a stupid fight. But because I went ham on him, he was actually super easy for me, right? Because I used I had my own Iris Veil, and I summoned someone else's Coup Alter and stuff, and I didn't have a problem with it at all. But again, I went way more ham on it than I would do for other fights. So it's kind of hard to rate that one. Yeah, Gramps is like, he's bullshit because he's basically undoable with like really budget teams, although the NA one was doable with budget teams because of the way he was different. Yeah, the RNG in NA Gramps is really obnoxious. I can definitely see that being annoying for people. Bullet Heaven was pretty easy for me because, one, I've just fought that boss so many fucking times, and I normally have assassins leveled, so he was never too bad for me. Definitely not easy though. It required me to stop and think, and I had to, you know, realize that the way the fight was kind of structured, you're going to want more than one good assassin generally, especially with the kind of supports that I was willing to use. And you need to deal with Ishtar efficiently. It's really easy to kind of ignore her and have her actually take value away from you and stuff. I super like Bullet Heaven, but I wouldn't say that was the hardest for me. I don't know what the hardest is, because like I would say maybe the Shadow Knights of the Round Table, but because we couldn't replay that one, I don't have a very good barometer of that one, because the first time I did it, I didn't go full cheese. I definitely didn't cheese it as hard as I cheesed Gramps, you know, but I used a lot of really strong stuff. I dialed it back a little bit, but I got ganked by the not being able to repeat it. I didn't realize that was a thing until after the fact, so I don't have a good barometer of that one. I'm trying to think, what was the hardest thing for me? Especially on like I don't know, it's always hard to say because so rarely do I actually go ham on a fight. I normally am holding myself back. So there's been times where something is so fucking hard when I'm holding myself back, but it's because I'm holding myself back. I honestly don't think any challenge quest would give me a hard time if I didn't hold myself back. Just because I know what I'm doing and I have a really good account and I've leveled smart things and I have good variety. So I don't think, if I went ham on anything, I don't think anything would be a huge problem. Which is why I don't go ham on things, because I like having to respect the boss gimmicks and have to figure it out and min-max with the things I am willing to use and that kind of thing. But let me think, what's the things that have really tripped me up though when I am like holding myself back? Like I said, it's not really fair because some of those things that have really tripped me up and have been really difficult for me, I was holding myself back, where with Gramps, I wasn't. I was holding myself back a little bit with Gramps, like, but not much. These aren't necessarily harder than Gramps and stuff. Let's see, so challenge quest though, when I was You know, honestly, Fuma was pretty tough. I think Fuma was pretty tough for a budget team. Very easy to trivialize without a budget team, like if you're using the stronger supports, but honestly, with a budget team, that was pretty tough. Probably not the hardest, though. It was just noteworthy. There's so many challenges. It's kind of hard to remember because it's kind of overwhelming because there's so many challenge quests. Like and main story fights. Zeus was fucking hard, but that was, and I know this for a fact, that was almost entirely because I was super handicapping myself. Like, you know, I was unwilling to do any like really rare CEs, like Poster Girl, and you know, all 1 to 3 star units and stuff. And 1 to 3 stars are just, they have a hard time with the stuff that's going on there. That really was tough. It took me a lot of testing and experimenting to find the setup that I wanted. But there's no question I was handicapping myself there more than I definitely handicapped myself for some of the other like really hard challenge quests. Because what I do a lot, and it's because this is how I prefer to play the game. It's like something might be doable with like 1 to 3 stars or something, but I don't. Because I'm like, yeah, it's not really reasonable. This would take a lot of trial and error and a lot of RNG. So I'd either like bring a 4-star or 2 4-stars or something, and then do it in a way that's a lot more reliable or whatever. Like, so there's a lot of fights where if I use the same restrictions that I did for Zeus, they'd probably be harder. I'm really struggling to remember random challenge quests though. You know, King Potato Chips actually was pretty easy for me. I didn't find that one too hard. And I can see why it is hard, though. The main thing is I was just able to realize what the fight was pretty early, and I realized, oh, I should buff stack, go around the wheel, and, you know, just one shot. Like, as soon as I realized what the boss did, I've just seen stuff in the past, and I just kind of did that right away, so it wasn't too bad. But I can see that being really annoying for people. Well, I need to, like, look up random challenge quests, because I feel like I'm just forgetting a million challenge quests. I'm drawing a blank. Okay, let's see. Oh, Summer 3, that was pretty tough. I don't know if I'd put it up there as like the hardest ever, but that was pretty tough. Achilles is really up there. I didn't get to do it enough though. I was really busy. Like I would say, when that came out, I was really busy with work and I was into Classic WoW, and I just didn't have the time to play. I did not play the Achilles fight enough to have an opinion on it. But I suspect that's one of the harder ones. Like that especially for if you're going more budget. Like there's plenty of ways to cheese it, but for a more budget setup, that one's fucked. I don't even know. I don't talk about that fight a lot because I just don't know the fight well enough to have an informed opinion about it. But that fight, from what I did do of it, and how I didn't do it 1 to 3 star at all, like not even close. I suspect that would be crazy fucking hard for a budget setup. Maybe I'm just overlooking like a niche that I'm not thinking of or whatever. But that's just the amount of value that you need, the amount of survivability versus damage output that you need for the classes that they give you and stuff. You know, because like if he was an archer, it'd be fucking easy. But yeah, that's a tough one. I think that's up there. I may be wrong. You know, maybe it's just the fact that I'm kind of inexperienced with that fight and I didn't do it a lot. But that one was that was pretty wild. I definitely think Achilles, at least from a budget perspective, was the hardest fight for a budget player, right? For Guildfest too. Like I think Achilles definitely was the hardest. But you know, small sample size. I didn't play it as much as I normally do, so I could be wrong about that. Hey Ludes, what's up, man? Yeah, I haven't been streaming much. Been having internet problems. And I know you haven't been around too much either. FGO is kind of everywhere now. Raiko, she goes in was hard. Because that was my first event. Yeah, especially when you're unprepared, that stuff can really... You don't have as many units and stuff, that can be really tough. And I saw some people saying Raiko and shooting from Shimosa. That's a decently hard one. It's not that bad. I feel like there's other ones in that singularity that are harder. I don't know though. I see a lot of people say that was the hardest one for them. So I don't know, maybe that one is the hardest for more people. I feel like Shimosa, it's a lot of like, it depends on what you have. Is going to depend on which boss could be a problem for you. Because they're kind of extreme, right? Like, if you don't have like any of the appropriate units for Sitting Master, it's gonna be a problem. Though most people will have archers, but if you don't have any, good casters, then the Assassin of Inferno is gonna be a huge problem. I guess for what would really trip people up for Raiko and shooting is not having units that can deal with shooting quickly. Like if you can't kill her quick, that's gonna be a problem. Do you like the newest Welfare Voyager? Not a lot of hype or hate either way. I dislike how little effort they put into the Welfare though. Like, that's some of the hold on. I have to show the salutes, chat. I have to show the salutes. I've shown this to my chat before, but I'm sure there's people here that haven't seen this yet. This picture summarizes pretty much my feelings for the new Welfare. This might take me a quick second though, because I made this picture and I forgot what I named the file, so might take me a moment. Oh, there we go. God. All right. So that's her back leg that, like, in her default standing pose, looks like that, right? It's facing the camera, and now she's doing a drop kick. She's doing a drop kick here, and they didn't reanimate it, so it's like facing the right way, right? It's still facing straight forward, and that's how all of her animations are. They're all super fucking lazy like that, where instead of like animating her, they just did paper mache, right, and just move the part around without actually redrawing it. It's really lazy. Like, her animations are crazy fucking lazy like that, and that was really disappointing. They're just not really my kind of character. I don't like hate either of them or hype either of them, but you know, Voyager, like, I like space and I like astronauts and all that, but I don't really like kid characters too much, and his voice is kind of too much for me, and he's just kind of silly, but I don't hate him. And with her, it's like, again, not really my style. Don't like how lazy they were with her, but I don't hate her. So they're both kind of whatever. I'm not a big Requiem fan. It's eh. I don't know, if you like animations, right, and you're paying attention to like the way the characters are attacking and stuff, it's kind of hard not to notice, right? Especially with her. Like, some of them, some times when they phone it in, it's kind of hard to notice. But my god, her animations are really obvious. Hey, Finn with the gifted sub to Lutz. Thank you, man. Yeah, I like Dino Mom the most. Again, though, they were really lazy with her NP. That was pretty lame, but overall, she's cool. Oh, we just... Huh. Dude, this singularity is weird, man. I mean, there's so many stages where it's just like septum level of stats, and where Oceanus had like way higher stats. I don't get it. Well, I mean, I don't know if she's an ass pull just because that is what she is in the book and everything, right? So it's like they already were kind of going that route with her, so I get that. But I don't really like that the book did that with her, if that makes any sense, right? It's like, I don't really think it's an ass pull, I just think it's dumb, right? It's like, I think it was dumb to begin with. but like, you know, her basic like personality and character design is okay, I guess. It's not really my shtick. Yeah, I mean, some of the bosses have had okay stats, but everything else has had like super low stats. Okay, we're like fighting every class ever. It's gonna be a great time to use Hercules, but he's too high level for this. I think we'll try to do Ushi and then just have someone else deal with the assassins. I need to level my Spartacus. The assassins are the dolls, which I assume this works on. I like the concept of Voyager. I would have preferred it to have been executed in a more serious manner. I actually think the concept is awesome. I should have done her art card. Ushi because there's casters later, and then there's also lancers, and she's one of my stronger neutral. Actually, she is my strongest neutral unit right now because she's NP5, upgraded NP already. So she has an upgraded NP at level 44. Boy, I could have done that turn better. And I don't think there's actually that many assassins here. I might be wrong about that, but we will find out. Oh my god, and that guy thought Excalibur and Caliburn were the same weapon. Although, to be fair to him, if I can remember this guy's argument right, it's not that he was confused between Excalibur and Caliburn. He was basically trying to say that if you read between the lines, it's obvious that Excalibur was like forged out of the fragments of Caliburn, and therefore they're the same sword. Which, first of all, that's a stretch to begin with, and then the kind of equating that then they're literally like the same sword because maybe Excalibur was forged out of the remains of Caliburn, like, which really I don't think there's anything that suggests that. What is suggested is they're both, you know, made from the lands of the fairies and stuff. It's kind of like, guys, humans have made several swords, and these two swords have both been made by humans, and therefore they're the same sword, right? That's kind of, you know, dumb, and that's also kind of racist. It's like, wow, both of these swords were made by the fairies, so they gotta be the same sword, am I right? Yeah, the whole victory thing, yeah. That was a trip. The whole thing is, I could have totally had a conversation with that guy if he would have just been more reasonable about it. Because it wasn't like, hey guys, I got this theory where, you know, maybe Excalibur is basically just a super version of Caliburn, and they're actually the same effects, and they have the same abilities, and they're made out of like the same stuff. And I think this because of this, and that. No, that's not what he did, right? Not only, it wasn't like this is a theory, he was like, this absolutely is the case if you read between the lines, you plebs. And then, you know, and then when people ask him, well, what the fuck is your evidence? He's like, it's not my fault if you don't know the evidence. That was what and it's like, I can kind of understand that if it was like, if what you were saying was Artoria is actually a woman, and I don't have time to prove this to you, right? Because if you don't know that, you're an idiot, right? But that's not what he was saying. He was saying something that was really against the grain, right? And at that point, you kind of need to, if you want to bring it up and be taken seriously, you're gonna have to back it up with something. It's like, if I'm like, yo, guys, I don't think Zeus is even that powerful in Fate, right? That's a pretty controversial thing to say. I kind of need to back that up with something, right? And if I'm like, you know what? If y'all can't read between the lines and figure out that, oh, this is Jack, so yeah, Ushi didn't work out. I was really hoping the boss wasn't gonna be an assassin. Anyway, if I'm gonna be like, you know, Zeus isn't actually that powerful, and if y'all can't, you know, the evidence is there if you read between the lines, and if y'all can't be bothered to look at it, that's not my problem, right? And if everyone says, okay, fuck you, I'm not gonna be surprised, right? Now, also, I could have really had a conversation with him if he was wanting to talk about like the real life angle, right? Like how in real life, you know, there used to not be Excalibur, and they kind of slowly got muddied together, and then they eventually made them two separate swords and everything, right? But he wasn't talking about that. He was talking about, you know, straight fate. That shit was wild because the guy was like so convinced of it. He was so convinced of it, and wouldn't even you know, justify it or entertain the idea that it was wrong. Sigurd is Siegfried. Yep, the Bullmog and Graham are the same, clearly. Never mind that, you know, we've seen both of them. I do think, though, you know, Caliburn was made in the Land of the Fairies and stuff in Fate. I do think that's fairly likely. Well, for a while, they weren't. There wasn't even an Excalibur. Like that wasn't a thing in the story at all. And it's not like let's be real here. So the Legends of King Arthur. First of all, we don't know what the original stories are. We don't know because we don't have them. They've been lost to time. So there's a lot of stuff where we're like, we're just guessing, right? It's just guesswork. But it's not like, I have to stress this because this applies to basically every legend ever. It's not like some guy farted and every story of King Arthur existed. It's not like, and boom, we got Excalibur, Avalon, Green Knight, Morgan. It's not how this works, right? You had like some stories about some things, and then different people made up other things, and then that got accepted, and then that got spread around, and like there's no definitive canon with these things, right? There's just different stories that started, you know, being told and retold over time, right? So a lot of this stuff didn't exist in the beginning, and just different things got added and dropped and forgotten and then adapted, and that's just how it works with the ancient world. And even today, it's not like Spider-Man. It's not like issue 1 of Spider-Man comes out, just boom, Green Goblin, you know, Uncle Dead, fucking Sandman, you know, Carnage. That's not how this works. So you have different writers, different takes on the character over time, and then different things get, you know, it's the same shit. This is just how storytelling has always been, really, when things become popular. And yet, a lot of times people seem to have this idea that, like, you know, there's like this definitive canon of all the ancient legends and stuff, and Achilles was like this, and Arthur was like this, and it's like, you realize these were fictional people that, you know, they're like stories that got passed around campfires. If anyone's played a game of phone, it's like, you know, you know, there's things get mixed up real quick, right? So, and we have something as popular as King Arthur, and then we literally don't even know the origin of it. It's very likely the origin of it is Celtic, you know, probably Welsh specifically. There's a lot of evidence that suggests that. But even most of those Welsh stories and stuff are most, sadly, but most of those Welsh stories are lost to time. Oh, I know what Jack does. She always attacks females. That's why she was always attacking Nursery Rhyme earlier. This should have been obvious, but I just didn't even think about that earlier. Yeah, she just always attacks females. That must be what that is. Guys, I spoiled Spider-Man. But yeah, most likely the stuff that inspired King Arthur is mostly Welsh in origin. But then, you know, what inspired... It's not like those were necessarily the original stories either, right? They might have been inspired by other things, and, you know, that's just how it goes. Sadly, a lot of Welsh stuff, though, is lost to time. One, it's because, you know, a lot of people didn't have the highest priority on preserving it, and sometimes they had the opposite desire, and then also just things from that era is so old. A lot of that stuff is lost to time anyway. But yeah, I talked about this a few streams ago. A lot of people try to discredit Galahad because he wasn't in the quote-unquote original stories and he was added, you know, by a French writer later. And I'm like, yeah, so like everything else in human history, and especially in the Legends of King Arthur, right? It's like almost none of the stuff was in it originally, and almost all of it was just randomly added by a random writer. And then a lot of times that stuff just caught on and other writers liked it and reused it and it got passed around. And that, like it or not, that's what happened with Galahad. It's like, yeah, a French writer added it, just like, you know, a lot of other things were added by French writers and other, you know, and English writers and that stuff. No single person has ownership over these legends. And then the stuff that people liked and that, you know, caught on, you know, got used more. And I, like I said, I think I will say, I do think the first take on Galahad was pretty bad, right? Kind of on the nose and over the top with the Christian values and shitting on Lancelot and all that, right? But where it ultimately ended, it kind of met in the middle, right? They kind of, you know, because the English kind of over-sanctified Lancelot at first and love conquers all kind of stuff and really downplayed the bad side. Oh god, there's a third wave. This is what? This stage is so much. Okay, this isn't, you know, this isn't like that big of a deal, and obviously I brought a really bad team for it. But like, look at this. We're fighting all these 12k trash mob stages, and now they throw 2 bosses like in 2 waves with how shitty our account is. You know, obviously this is nothing for like later in the game, but for like this point in the game, that's a real step up there. Like, damn. So if Mordred lives one more turn, we can use her Buster up for NP, but she's probably not gonna live another turn, so sadly we're just gonna do this. See, I should have put Ushi in the back. See, I thought there was just gonna be a bunch of assassin dolls, and then maybe some homunculus, and then a caster boss. I was close. It was just there was an assassin boss mixed in. So yeah, we should have put Ushi in the back. Yep. There she goes. What's my back row? Fuck, we can't use that, it's cheating. Fuck. Okay, we have to make it better. I'm gonna have to actually work. This is like the first stage in all of London where I'm gonna have to actually work. I haven't been working this entire time. The real handicap is bringing Hercules but not using him in any meaningful way. Okay, I gotta not just bring a throwaway unit like I did. So maybe what do you? I guess Kaziku's too strong. We'll summon Mordred again. I feel like that's fair. She's not that useful here, but I don't. It's like I feel like summoning like a level 70 Castriku that's already got his upgraded NP and everything. I think that's like too good. Thinking no taunt wall. So what is my assassin kill? It's Nursery Rhyme right now. Okay. Ooh boy. We don't have enough to like get guaranteed crits. This is gonna get a bit tricky. This is where I wish Ushi had her third skill, because then she could like solo the end. She's gonna laser Nursery Rhyme then, because she's the only female. Okay, hold on. Let me go look at my units a bit, see if I can maybe level a few skill ranks and whatnot. Because there's some skill ranks that I wouldn't level just for this stage, but if there's skill ranks that I know are high priority in general, like Mash's skills and stuff, then it's fine. We fear Herc's power, chat. Yeah, we really couldn't do much. I'm gonna have to get those seeds. There's a lot of servants that use those early game. I'm just so relieved that I can actually use Mash. I'm so used to that stupid fucking account where I can't use her. It's awful. Like, we have this unit that we're gonna force you to use all the time, but she's not worth investing in, so she's gonna be like terrible skill ranks and everything. Let's go see real quick if we can get Shingon. I guess we're at the point now that we'll start saving our SQ. I'm so sad though, I really wanted to get Imaginary Element before I got to that point. But I feel like we're kinda... It's a good time to start saving. Oh god, I've been streaming for 3 hours. What the fuck? It's 11 o'clock. Oh dear god. Alright, I'm gonna beat this stage though before we move on. I wanna deck it in the schnoz. Yeah, so far the net's been fine, but like I just know I've been keeping an eye on it. You know, it'll be fine for a while, then get really bad again. And like the guy that looked at it again today was like, yeah, they haven't fixed the problem, so. I can't wait to get Caesar's MP upgrade, man. Get that juicy damage in. I really like describing Caesar's damage as juicy for him. I feel like he would approve of that. Might seem like a weird choice, but... Oh, I have Origin Bullet. Let's go. Alright. See how this does. I didn't put Hercules in the back. I could have cut David so easily, too. David's not that good here. Oh yeah, the anti-berserker CE is really good. You know, you don't really need it early game. You don't need it for a while. It takes quite a while for it to really be necessary, or it's actually never necessary, really. But for it to really even be like, oh wow, this is really helpful, it's quite a bit later. But there's a lot of fights where it's like, oh man, this berserker's really nasty, or oh god, there's a defense gimmick here. The main thing is just the fact that it ignores defense. You know, being able to... You might not have a lot of the stapled units that have anti-defense abilities, or you don't like them. So it's just nice to be able to slap that on somebody. Yeah, it's very good. We'll do extra farming with Herc later so he gets the bond. This might look weird, but it's like, it's a guaranteed turn. They don't ping off the shield because I have invulnerability, and it puts it on cooldown. Oh god, rank 10 skills. 9 turn cooldown? God damn, dude. This is why 10 is really nice. Holy shit, that hurts. Damn. It's hard to play the long game when your cooldowns are so long that, you know, it can be an issue. And using those skills turn 1 needs to come back faster, and you know, if they're lower on the cooldown ladder, it's not so bad. Oh my god! Look at this guy! I'm trying to save my evasion, you know, stacks, and he's just like, nope, fuck you. He was not having any of that. So I'm guessing it's 50-50 if Jack attacks one of them. They're both female, so... Oh, technically one of them is a book, thank you, but... You know, this game is racist or bookist or something. I really should have leveled her first skill. I don't think Mash does the attack up at this point in the game. I'll wait. Come on, 70% crit chance. See, there's so many things that could be better here. Mozart could make more stars because of skill rank. She could have more star absorb because of skill rank. She could have a higher crit up. I really should level her skill. I just kind of keep forgetting. Damn. Doesn't have upgraded NP. Damn, okay. I'm always like kind of disappointed in her damage because, you know, I haven't upgraded her and I don't have the upgraded NP yet, but that did pretty good. Probably can't kill it this turn. I'm actually too tanky now. I want somebody to die. I was expecting that to be harder. It's gonna take us a long time to get to Ushi. Like at this point, I don't really care about anybody, and I just want Ushi to show up. That evade though. I know the feeling, Arjuna. Yeah, Artoria resets the deck. For like I don't know for sure this is how it works. I know in practicality this is what happens, but I'm pretty sure what happens is the game immediately shuffles the deck, but you don't pull from the deck. It just generates a specific hand for that turn for those 2 units because that 1 unit is excluded, right? So that hand is like in a vacuum, but the deck's been shuffled, and so then when the next turn starts, you start pulling from the shuffled deck. Basically, it gets shuffled next turn. I suspect it already shuffles the deck, but it doesn't really matter if it shuffles it next turn or that turn, and then generates the hand. Like there's no difference there. See, David should be Ushi, and I could put Hercules in the back to get Bond. I feel like this is the first stage. This is a good example though. This is why I like not cheesing things, right? Because now obviously I know this game good enough that this stage isn't going to teach me anything I don't already know. But I actually do remember, I now do remember this stage from way back in the day on my first account. This is, if you're not cheesing things and you don't have like, LOL, God Juna, I just kill everything because it's Berserker, AoE, lol, level 90, right? You're not going to get tripped up by the whole boss in the middle, boss at the end thing that are different classes, you know. So you're not going to learn anything about pacing and like, you know, putting a unit in the back to match up at the end and, you know, that, you know, there's a lesson to be learned from this stage if you don't trivialize it. So if you're a new player, you could potentially get better at the game and be, you know, more prepared for things like this down the road, right? Where if you're just like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm summoning this god Juna or Hercules to kill everything for me, you're not going to learn anything. So then when you do get to a challenge quest or a main story fight that you can't get carried on anymore, you know, you're in trouble. I'd like to save these NPs for like an art chain for Ushi, but there's not a good chance of that actually happening. Who knows who's gonna die, so. Mozart's second skill does not need a buff because his other 2 skills are so fucking outrageously strong, it doesn't matter. It's not about what an individual skill does. It's about what the unit in its entirety does. And what Mozart in his entirety does is super fucking strong. And honestly, out of all these skills like that, I mean, his second skill works for him. Because you often will use him with units like, I mean, you know, Mash, or he's a budget unit, right? Mozart's a budget unit. So it's pretty common to use him with units like Mash or Robin. And look, those have an attack down and a defense up. So it's like if the boss is going to do an AoE NP, right? You do Mash's defense up, you do Mozart's NP down, maybe Robin's attack down, or you have some other unit, you know, that's got something like that. It does add up and result in you being able to face tank something that you otherwise wouldn't. Right? Yeah, on its own, you don't click Mozart's second skill and save the whole team. But he doesn't need that. Dear God, can you imagine if Mozart's second skill was so strong that he could easily on his own save the whole team from an enemy NP, and then he also has a guaranteed crit for everyone and the giant art? That's way way too much. Like, that's insanity. I mean, I take it. I'll use it, boys. But that's way too strong. Like, he doesn't need that at all. You know, as is, he can synergize with something like MASH or something and survive in it. Like, for example, just on Gwen, nothing fancy. If you don't have MASH, you just have Robin Hood, you just have Mozart. This is very common to use Mozart and Robin Hood against Gwen, right? That's not abnormal at all. Maybe you survive, you know, Gwen's first NP with David earlier, then your Mysticode or whatever, and then if it gets down to it and you're out of ways to steal Gwen's NP, and he's going to do yet another one, and you got to take this one on vanilla. Then you use, you know, Shakespeare's second skill, Gwen's AoE, you know, and how many times can I say you know? Anyway, so Gwen's AoE, he's a Saber, Robin's Archer, so he's taking a lot less damage. You know, AoE and counterclass. Those two things mean you're taking way less damage. And you do NP down on top of that. Robin can face tank the NP, and I know this because I've done this. I've done exactly what I just described. So that, you know, it's good. It's niche as hell, absolutely. It's not like Mozart's second skill, like, wow, I'm gonna throw this out all the time and it's gonna be great. Like, no way. But, you know, every once in a while it's handy, but then all of the time you're gonna get super crazy, oh my god, value out of his other skills. So it's like, you know, it's no big deal. Now, if they ever buff Mozart's second skill and they give it a little something that's not like super strong, but like, yeah, it's something reliable that you can use all the time, that's fine. That doesn't bother me. But the issue is, there's no denying this. Mozart is to this day one of the stronger budget supports, right? It's him, Qingong, and Hans, really, right? You know, he's top of the line for budget supports. So it's like, why would you be like, yeah, we gotta buff Mozart when you got all these other, you know, turds in the corner that are like, help, right? So it's pretty weird to me to buff his second skill when he's such a fucking good unit, and there's so many other units that are, you know, kind of in a shitty state. But yeah, that's fair. If they do buff him because he already is so strong, just make it a side thing that's not that big of a deal, right? That's fair. But like I said, you know, I'd much rather they throw a buff on, and even Shakespeare, even though I think Shakespeare is, you know, even with such a Poster Girl is in good shape. But I do feel like most people don't have Poster Girl, and I do feel like Shakespeare's really falling behind in comparison to Mozart and Chen and Hans. Can somebody die? God, I put Ushi way too far in the back. I'm literally going to let Hohenheim NP and just kill everybody. Because I just want Ushi. I thought Jack would be harder than she was. So that's why I put Ushi so far back. But yeah, I should have put her like first place. Because we wrecked Jack. It was no problem. I mean, why would I not recommend Robin, though? Because I've said this a million times. God, I've had this conversation so many times. I feel like a broken record. It's like, Robin is so good for Gwen, and he's also so good for a million other things, where Uriel's not. Like, I don't think it's that helpful to level Uriel if you're a budget player. Now, granted, if you're a whale and you're just swimming in gnats and all this stuff, and you're leveling every fucking thing, then yeah, you might as well level Uriel. But, especially if you like her. But it's like look at this account. Like I'm not leveling Robin because I'm not doing this because I like Robin, right? I'm having to be pretty picky on what I level on this account because I don't play this account a lot. I don't farm on this account much, right? So I'm having to be pretty selective. I mean, to make sure I'm covering my bases as I go. I'm leveling Robin because Robin is good enough to beat Gwen, no problem. And then he's also really good for a billion other things. He's basically like, he beats every fucking Saber we ever need to deal with. Right, where Uriel, yeah, she beats Gwen, but then she's trash against so many other things because they're female or they're genderless, like a dragon, like there's saber dragons and things like that. She doesn't do anything. Why am I gonna waste the mats and the XP on a unit that's that niche, right? She's you know, yeah, she's super counters certain things, but then she's useless against so many other things. Robin is good always. Anytime you need an archer, Robin is always good. So I'm getting way more boom for my buck from leveling Robin. It's like, yeah, maybe Uriel will do better against Gwen, but Robin's good enough to beat Gwen, and then Uriel's trash against so many other things. So it's just, there's no reason to. Now, if you like Uriel, I mean, sure, level her, of course, because she's super good for certain bosses. You know, every once in a while, she is, you know, really applicable to a situation, and she's super helpful. But, you know, she's not that useful that often. Like, no, I say this, she's super useful, but only occasionally, right? I think that's the best way of putting it. What's the last unit you remember getting buffed that changed their priority in a budget servant? Highly? I mean, there's a lot. I mean, Hohenheim, Caesar, Hans. Hans was already always good, but that third skill buff was really big for him. Caesar, again, also really was good before, but he was almost strictly a support, then on the side does some damage. Well, now he does some fucking damage, and on the side is a support. But I'd say Hohenheim probably. Like, just completely changed what he does. I'm kind of want to see if I can keep Nursery Rhyme alive just because she has some art cards. I want to use those art cards to give Ushi an art chain or something. Because as soon as Ushi gets her NP, we win. Really, I should not. I should just give an Ushi starting NP because we don't really need. Just get her NP quick. Either that or, you know, fuck it. I'm going for normal card damage. Screw it. Oh yeah, because we got Origin bullets. Yeah, he's fucked. He doesn't use his NP. He does his extra attack. Are you fucking kidding me? My respect for this stage just tanked. It just dropped so hard there. I mean, sure, his extra attack hits pretty hard, but the NP hits harder and hits 3 targets. Like if his extra attack hit 3 targets, then sure, but. Like, I'll say this, if you're ever stuck on a boss that happens to be up Uriel's aisle, like, directly, and if you're really stuck on it, she'll bail you out really easily. But I don't think people are going to get stuck on those bosses that often, generally, and there's just not that many of them. But there are absolutely bosses that she can just trivialize. I'm gonna BRB real quick. I need to wrap up. I keep forgetting it's so late. It kind of sucks because I'm like, let's go, London. But I gotta eat. I gotta use the restroom. I got real life stuff I'm supposed to do. I'm like ready. I'm surprised more people will get confused with Hohenheim because he's more famous by his name Hohenheim, I would think. It's a decently famous thing, right? Like, it's not that niche. I'm so hungry right now. Like, normally I'll just get like a snack to hold me over, but I'm so hungry I gotta eat or I'm gonna die. I'll start uploading the VOD to YouTube immediately, so this ended up being a normal stream. We actually didn't have huge lag problems tonight, which was nice. Yeah, he isn't. I forgot about that, actually. He is in Full Metal Alchemist, so I didn't even think of that. Alright, boys. Well, thank you for hanging out. I really wish we could stream a bit more. I'm kind of hungry for more story now. I'm kind of getting the ball rolling, but hopefully I can stream tomorrow. We'll see. And yeah, oh man, we're getting close to Camelot, man. I need to get that David up and I guess George. I really need to get my George up. Oh, Ludes is streaming. We'll just raid Ludes then. Why not? He hasn't streamed in forever, so. All right, boys. You guys have a good one, and I'm gonna go get me some grub. Let me think. If I stream tomorrow, it's gonna be completely up to my internet. Like, if I don't stream, it's just because of my internet. If my internet's fine, I will absolutely stream. I'll probably do it at a few hours earlier than I did today. I'll probably like maybe 2 hours earlier than I did today. That way I have more time to keep going if I want to. But I'll try to... I feel like it's a good time of day to do it kind of in there because it's late enough for some people, but not so late that they're fucked. So probably like maybe 2 hours earlier than I did today. All right, well, peace out, everybody.